We are fucking massive. We are fucking massive. We are fucking massive.
Much love, Peach. Thank you.
Yo, they talking crazy. We don't even see him.
Okay, now I'm not on mute. Good. What I was saying is I'm happy. I am happy. When everybody else is kicking the can and their heads down in the bin in the band, I'm happy, dog. I'm happy. I'm weird like that, but I'm happy because you see it. Like you look at it, and thank you, Luke. Much respect. I'll put the thing in the thing right now, but it's like I put the thing in the thing right now. Like I talk real good grammar. Yeah, like wow. But I'm happy. I already lost 2 people watching because I said that I'm happy. Piss off for you 2 people that like left because I am. Now we got 1 back, but I am happy, dog. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm slap happy. Remember when they used to do them things? I just roll up to people and like slap happy things. I'm slap happy things, dog. Because you bring people in, that sounds like something else to the rest of the squad. You have to bring the right people in. Moyes has only brought the right people in. He has not got one wrong. Like, honest. Even Hugo, I think we should have played him more than we played him. He wanted to come out to the bubbles, didn't he? Never got the chance to. Maybe like as a sub, but never got the chance to come out to the bubbles, dog. And it's like, I'll show you this, man. Hold on, again. Whenever I'm online, you come in and like, what do you have? What do you? I'm on YouTube right now. No, mom, what do you want? I'm here. What do you want? Oh no, do you want the cold things? I can get the cold things. I can get the cold. Okay, do your thing. See, live family action. Like I love my mom to pieces, straight up. But she only comes in when I'm on YouTube, doc. Like I'm quiet in my room, just doing two things all day, writing music, editing this, doing that. Well, learning how to edit. I ain't on some Charlie Walsh like status at all. Like no chance about it. I'm not on that status, dog. I'm learning them things, dog. But it's like, yo, man, I saw you. Getting back to like West Ham. I'm happy, dog, because like, yo, you bring two players in and they ain't the right ones. And then that disrupts what you have. What we have is good right now. We're like what, fifth, sixth in the league? Not bad, not too shabby. The squad that we have, it's almost like giving those players uh a sign of confidence, saying, "Listen, we can go the rest of the season and get to where we want to go with you lot. So why do we need anybody else? You know what I mean? Why do we need anybody else? Like we don't really. Like okay, Antonio gets injured, then you got Moyes as like false number nines. That's been his game since time. We brought in Vlasic. Vlasic is basically like our January transfer window signing because Homeboys looked better and better and better each game he's played. So you can't forget that. So it's like I'm not upset. I listen. If we get one or two in before it goes down, which is like what 3 minutes, like would I be upset? No. Would I be happy? Yeah, I don't care. Honestly, I think that what Moyes has done is instilled confidence in the players he has not had in the players he has to like go out and do the business, and I like that. We're not panic buying. We've always panic bought. Remember when we bought like who was that boy? He still goes on, man. The boy from Manchester United, Evra. Why did we bring in Evra? Like honestly, why did we bring in Everett? That makes no sense to me, dog. And it still doesn't. Real things. And it's like we didn't bring in your Everest. You know what I mean? When we brought in Dawson, everybody's like, "Oh no, what are you doing?" Rah, rah, rah." You got it right. Thank you. Kufau got it right. Suchek got it right. Zuma got it right. Ariota got it right. They're all right. There's no left turns in these things, dog. There's no left turns in these things. I'm happy. I'm happy, dog. Y'all can be complaining and moaning and bitching and mad and bad and sad and all them things, as well as like all the other YouTube channels. Like all the other YouTube channels right now, they're having a cry. They're having a whinge. Why didn't we bring in anybody in? But it's like, yo, if we say in Moyes we trust, then in Moyes we trust. He might surprise all of y'all. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like maybe he has his eyes on like some striker that we don't know about. And that will do the biz, man. And it's like until he gets him, he gets him. But it's like, why are you got a Lamborghini? Why are you gonna like put like Chevrolet parts on that Lamborghini? We got a Lamborghini right now. We don't need no Chevrolet parts on that Lamborghini. You hear what I'm saying? We don't need no Chevrolet parts on that Lamborghini right now, dog. The Lamborghini is driving fine. We don't need to send it to the mechanic and that to get it like fixed up and all this. We don't need to. We don't need to. Our Lamborghini is running gold right now. Yeah, they might look a bit tired here and there, but yo, they're playing as a combined team, dog. Like you can't tell me different, man. Like straight up. Like honestly, you cannot tell me different. Robbie P's in the house. Luke Legends in the house. You don't know. Big up, Robbie P. Why? What the fuck? Not happy, mate, but not surprised, my man. We march on, bro. Yo, listen, I'm happy. I'm saying that. I'm not happy. I'm happy because Moyes has done this for a reason. And you know what? Yo, send a shout out, like no, not a shout out. Send a statement out to all the other clubs. You can buy this person. You can buy that person. Let's see how much higher you finish in the league, because I guarantee you we'll finish higher than you, and we're still running with the same squad, like OG things, dog. OG things, man. And on business, man. Like, preach my peach. Thank you, Luke. Yes, thank you very much. Like, I'm going somewhere with this, man. I've been saying we're not signing anyone. Yeah, but is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Like, these other teams, they're buying players like, oh, we're gonna finish this or that, or just we're just gonna lend this player back to the same team that he came from. Great, fantastic. Why do we need to buy somebody who we're gonna loan back to their club? That's why we didn't buy him. Alvarez, Julian Alvarez. Why are we gonna sign somebody like Ross Barkley when we don't need him? Just to sign him? So you're gonna pay millions of dollars. Do you know how much millions of, like, I say dollars, you say quid, but it's like, do you know how much millions of dollars is? It's a lot of money. I don't business if it's 1 million or 30 million. I know in football, like 10 million is like your 1 million, 20 million is like your 2 million. I get it. But like, why spend that when you don't need to? It's like going to the grocery store, seeing something on like discount, like $1 off, $2 off, and you just buy it to buy it. Moyes is not doing that. I respect that. I really respect that. And you know what? He's holding on to his core. He's probably telling the boys them, we don't need nobody. You guys are the biz. You guys are all I need. You think that's gonna make them play better or worse? That's gonna make them play better even through when they're feeling tired and got dead legs. Like, I think what he's done not has only improved the morale, confidence in the squad. I think that it's done more than that. I think it's brought a new air about the place where they know that they're the ones that are going to be dependent on. So I'd rather that than some Billy Big Boots like come into our dressing room like, oh yeah, I'm the answer. Here you go, na 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 na, and then he does bugger all. Like, no, I think what Moyes did, brand new in our back room. And Lawrence Watkins always says this, like, in Moyes we trust. And in Moyes we do trust. So let's trust him. Let's trust him. Everybody's tripping out. Like, everybody is tripping out right now. Oh, no signings. No sign. Yo, do we need them? Really? Do we need them? We're like sixth, fifth to fourth spot in the Premier League on rotation, dog. That is not a bad place to be in. If we were like fighting relegation, then yo, bring in some reinforcements, no doubt. But we're pondering up top. Like, what do we have? We're like, what, 2, 3 points away from safety already? Like, I know it's really 6 points because I remember when we went down with 42 points. But it's like we're like 2, 3 games away from safety, and it is January. Well, February tomorrow. You're telling me we're not going to win another match or two or three before May? That's all he's looking at. Like, think about it. Logically, think about it. Logically, think about it. He's looking at winning 2 to 3 more games to guarantee safety, and he can do what the hell he wants to in the summer. Because you all know this is the window that prices go crazy. Like Lampard. Lampard was manager for less than 8 hours and got 2 loans to improve the team. Are they going to improve the team though? Is Dele Alli going to come in and improve the team, or is he going to be a headache in the dressing room? Just saying. Just saying. I think what Moyes has done is better than what Lampard's done. Moyes is like way more experienced than Lampard is. Lampard probably saw some money and was like, to make the fans happy, I'm gonna buy 2, 3 players in. You get what I'm saying? Moyes didn't do that. He would have done that maybe like 10, 15 years ago, but not now. I think Moyes dealt with it good. I think Moyes dealt with it like a G. I think that maybe the board and Moyes sat down and kind of discussed, like, listen, really? We need like 9 more points for sure safety. 9 more points for sure safety. Then we can have an exodus in the summer. Get rid of Yarmolenko. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get Matsuaku. Like, even though I like Matsuaku, and I do really like Matsuaku, I think he's a good dribbler. You know what I mean? Like, he just needs to get played to his strength, kind of like Haller, but you saw how that went. But it's like, no, I do see Matsuaku has potential. But you could get somebody in the summer who has the same dribbling like je ne sais quoi, and can like score goals, cross the ball, and like just be that much more of a better player. So you could have like Matsuaku out, you could have Yarmolenko out, you could have like Crawl out, because I don't think we're gonna like revise his loan or revisit his loan. Areola, I'd keep. But you'd be able to keep Areola if you got man to man like Yarmolenko out and Matsuaku, all the other man them out. I get that. Okay, hold on. Come on. It's all about the selling on of the stadium. Ah, what? Because like we're tight for dineros? I what, like, come on, it's all about the selling of the stadium. What? Why do we have to sell the stadium? Why do we have to buy the stadium? Like, we don't. We got a deal right now, dog. We're shopping at like that's like a Primark kind of thing. Like, we got a Primark stadium, but we don't got Primark players. You know what I'm saying? We got like Marks and Sparks players, but playing in a Primark stadium. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Training ground facilities, yeah, they it looks like they need to get improved. But at the end of the day, it's grass and a ball. You know what I mean? It's grass and a ball. That's how you train on grass with the ball, with your boots on. Why do we need like Dubai kind of like hotels and motels and holiday inns? We don't need them things, dog. Like, just get a good sauna, steam room, whatchamacallit. That's it. That's it. A cafeteria, canteen there for the man them. But yo, I don't give two things if it like if it's like a RV van like that they got in Breaking Bad. As long as they do food, you got food. So you got food, you got grass to play your football on, you got your boots on, you got like the ball. What else do you need? Honestly, like, what else do you need? Ask Pele. What else do you need? Like, homeboy was like running through the streets doing his training. Best player in the world. So what? If we upgrade our state, whatchamacallit, training grounds, is that going to make our players better than they already are? No. Is that going to make them feel like a bit luxurious? Yeah. But it's like, I love that about West Ham. We're gutter. We are gutter. We're in the tundra, man. Like, I love that. That's one thing I love about West Ham. So, like, why do we need to waste money on hyping up the training ground? Why do we need to like waste money on, buying the ground in general? We don't. We don't. This is like this is a ball. This is a ball, dog. This is a ball. Boots on the pitch, grass, whatever. This it's just ball. That's all it is. What? The things you get around you is like a flipping green screen, dog. We don't need them. We don't need them things, man. Like, straight up, man. Yo, Peach, the owners can sell the stadium next year without the taxes involved. Great. Good for them. The owners suck. I wouldn't be surprised whatever the owners do. I think they're selfish. I think they're spivs. I think they're very, very selfish. Real talk. I think they're very, very selfish. Um, but as long as they stay in the background and don't like, put two forwards, two front, too fast, I'm happy. Because I think you got like, when you go to a nightclub and you got like the bouncers there, I think the bouncers of our club are Moyes, Nolan, and Pierce. You get what I'm saying? And it's like they ain't gonna let them do nothing. Big up Robbie P. What's he saying? So they ain't gonna spend this season. Maybe not, but I'm happy with that. Yes, JP. My G, what are you saying? Come on if you like, man. I put the link in the comments, man. And I'm just saying, JP, John, I'm happy with like Moyes not spending anything because he's giving confidence in the other players to say, listen, this is your job. You do it. I believe in you. We don't need anybody else. Get on with it. And if it can be inbound, love it, love it, love it. If it can be seen as that, and I think it's big on the players. I think it's big on Moyes. I think Moyes is fully behind the team that he has right now. He doesn't need anybody else. He doesn't. Everybody signing everybody. Are they going to finish higher than us? Probably not. Luke, how are you doing, my friend?
Even mate, you okay?
Oh, I'm buzzing. But you know what? I switched my whole thing. I switched my whole thing.
Yeah,
I'm seeing
we
it.
can't be anything but
I'm seeing it from a different view now. I'm seeing it from a
we
different
can't be
view.
anything but positive now, can we?
That's it. That's it. That's it. I'm seeing it from a different view, man. And you know what? I think that this puts a lot of onus on the players. I think it puts a lot of pressure on them. I think the physios are going to have their day cut out because they're going to have to make sure these players stay fit. And the under 23s, they're given the chance to have a look in to go on and play for the first team. And it's the academy thing again, isn't it? And Daniel Krasinski did say this, Luke. He did say he'd rather invest in the youngins than buy anybody. So his words are coming to fruition. And that gives them a good go. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think Moyes, as we know, has got a pecking order.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see. I think isn't Antonio away for the Kidderminster game?
I didn't think he'd play anyways, to tell you the truth, though.
Honestly. Now's the time for the Ocker Flexes and the
I'd love to see
that,
yeah.
etc. to have to play games and Kral and Frederick,
yes, Areolas and JP. Let's get JP on the pitch. Let's get JP on the pitch, dog.
I'm afraid you're going to probably have to see more of Arthur Masuascu and Andrei Yarmolenko.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yarmolenko can sit down and JP can come on the pitch, dog. You're taking Yarmolenko's spot. You are taking Yarmolenko's spot.
I know you've been trying to get me on for a while, son, but El's got the floor. He's got the floor.
Yes, he does. He does. So continue, Luke, about the Aquaflexes and the Ashbys and all of them.
Well, yeah, as I say, the Moyes has a pecking order. So there's a pecking order that goes down, but unfortunately, at some point, some of those will disappear due to injury, suspension, international, etc., etc. So the gaps have got to be filled. So yeah, you can hopefully some of the under 23s can step up, but you will see more of Masuaku, Fredericks, and Yarmolenko. But at the moment, I'm not going to go. As you know, Peach, I don't go into the board and Moyes and all that stuff, but we have what we have now, so let's hope that Michael Antonio's hamstrings stand up for the next 2 months. But who knows, mate? It's a disappointing evening.
Yeah, but is it a disappointing evening, or are we just getting our hopes up to sign somebody just for the sake of signing somebody? I know we do need cover, but we do have youngsters coming like up in the background. And I know it's a big step from the under 23s to the first team, but Moyes must feel comfortable with what he has. Do you agree, JP?
Yeah, JP, sorry.
Oh, mate. Yes and no.
I hear you.
No.
Yeah.
It's the only way to answer, because purely we don't know the conversations that have been going on over the last 3 to 4 weeks or the last 6 months, however long they've been trying to plan for it. But Peach, I don't know if you've been watching any of my content recently, but I did the club accounts, and going into the start of this season, we were £250 million in debt.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And I do genuinely think that's part of the reason why we've not signed anybody. West Ham's pecking order has always been one in and one out. If we're going to sell someone, we'll bring somebody in, and that hasn't happened this window, despite having the likes of Yarmolenko, Fredericks, and a couple of others available. Masuaku, and at the start of the window, it was meant to be Randolph as well. All four of them were meant to be sold this window, and not one person's come in from at all, from what I'm understanding. Especially bearing in mind that that Randolph was supposed to go to Villa on loan, and then all of a sudden he just pulled it back. Moyes just said, no, we need him, and he's about to get a new contract. Yet apparently the conversations are that Areola isn't. That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But it really just doesn't make any sense what's happened this window, because I agree with what everybody's been saying. We're all massively disappointed because this is the only January transfer window I can remember, and and I've got quite a few memories on those where we haven't bought anybody in. But at the same point, we're not the only club that hasn't done any business this window in terms of bringing people in. The big worry is, from a football perspective, one of the teams that haven't bought anybody in is Norwich. They are fucked. They are gone, absolutely gone. Yeah. And the problem is why a lot of, in my personal opinion, I think the reason why a lot of people have been really, really negative and over dramatic for a few things is because we're used to being in a relegation scrap in this month. And in January, it's always more important to have players in the January, because to keep us up. Well, we're going to be up this season, so hey, bloody hell! talk about a ghost from the past. Very naughty young Athers.
That is me. That is me. How are we all?
We're good. Athers,
how the fuck do you think we are, Tom? Honestly, seriously.
Yeah.
It's great. Don't get me wrong, mate. It's great to see you, but don't start with a crap question.
Oh, what an end to the day, eh? Unbelievable.
I did an hour broadcast from 10 o'clock, and I was just like, what the fuck am I doing this for? Why are we talking about it? I mean, even Yaz has been doing videos. He's been making content since about 10 o'clock this morning. Stopped at 11. There's nothing to talk about there, Tom, is it? The only thing we can all of us will go over is how pissed off we are with it all.
No, but you have to be happy, though. You have to be happy, because at the same time, Moyes has looked into the squad that he has and said, I don't need nobody.
No, don't, Peach.
No, mate, that's not the case.
I would be that guy.
That's not the case. He was trying to get players in, but David Sullivan was blocking.
You're on the forward with Moyes? Like, come on, JP. Honestly, I know it was weird, like what you said about Randolph going to Villa at the very beginning. If Moyes was going to do any business in this window, it would have been in the first 5 days, and that would have shown us that he's going to do something. I think he's happy with what he has.
Well, he shouldn't be. I'm not having a pop at you, Peach. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I don't want to hear. 100. I don't want to hear those excuses. There's two excuses I don't want to hear. One, that he's happy with the squad that he's got. And I don't want to hear the
excuse.
No. But I'm saying I've seen people use those excuses on social media all day, and I also don't want to hear that we've run out of time. Basically, we've had 31 days to do our business. It's
more than that. It's even more than that. Exactly. This stuff would have been a lot of these targets that we were originally trying to go for would have been identified in September, October time.
Yeah, but even when Rob Newman came in, he'll have had a list to bring to Moyes, and this is the thing: nobody's singing off the same hymn sheet at the top of the club. They're all pulling in different directions. Nobody's doing this, the same thing. But when has ever, especially if you haven't actually got any deals done, the last few hours of the window going back in for play, it was a recipe for disaster. I said it. I was just doing a show with James on James's channel.
Yeah, Lucas and the other boys are on there. Yeah,
Mitchell as well. Yeah, and I was saying, this should have happened before the Leeds and the United game. If he truly wanted to collect a card, those could have been an extra 3, 4, maybe a point here or there that would have ended up saving us. But to wait until the final day and then put bids in for players like Souček, who's just about to be given a new 4 or 5 year contract. Why would you have a phantom £50 million bid for Phillips.
Can I ask you this, Tom?
Rafinha, hang on, let me finish.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah,
yes.
please do.
The Rafinha, another phantom £50 million bid for a player that plays in the same position as a man who's got 18 goal and assist contributions this season from the same position. The whole transfer policy just doesn't make sense. But my worry now is the knock-on effect between here and the end of the season. Yes, players may stay fit. Yes, we may go a round or two extra in the Europa League. But if we don't, and those results start turning, and all of a sudden the fans get on the boards back, on Moyes' back if we finish less than 8th, even though I don't believe it's his fault, because him and the players have done exceptionally well over the last couple of years to get us to this position and should have been rewarded with extra funds and players in January. But it's a knock-on effect that it shows now for Declan Rice, for Bowen in the summer. And if we do finish lower than 8th, all of a sudden you can write off getting the likes of Nunez, Phillips, if the bid was true, collect a car, because these guys, they want European football. It was such a crucial window for us to build on what we were doing, and we've been let down once again. And I just think, I just think we've been let down from top to bottom. I think it was such a crucial window, and I think it wasn't a lot. We weren't asking for a lot. It was 1 or 2 players just to help bolster the squad. I even said just now on James's channel, I would have even taken Reece Healey from Toulouse if it meant that Mikel Antonio didn't have to play every single minute between now and the end of the season. I'm completely disillusioned with the whole thing.
Let me ask you this, though. Would you be more disappointed if we lost Bowen and Rice this transfer window? Like, think about it. We were able. There were vultures like.
They were never going to. That kind of a deal would never happen in January.
No, but there were vultures flying around Bowen and Rice.
Yeah, I think the position that we're in currently, before sort of transfer stuff, they had no reason to leave because we're in the knockout stages of a European competition.
Agreed.
We're flying high, if you will, being 5th in the league.
Yep.
In the summer, still in the FA Cup, exactly. There was a reason for them to stay. In the summer, if we don't get European football. Because that is the no, I don't think we will. I think we will. I genuinely think we finish lower than 8th this season. You've got Wolves nipping at the heels. Tottenham have just re-upped with a few more Conte signings that he wants. He's got rid of what he perceives to be deadwood. Man United.
They're going to come good. How do you know they're going to come good? Like, Newcastle bought a bunch of people. How do you know they're going to come good? Like,
no, but they're not my immediate concern. It's the 3 or 4 teams that are behind us. Leicester will obviously finish strong, you would assume, towards the end of the season. They have a big squad to be able to do that. They're not fighting on all fronts like we are. We're in all these
Leicester have made no signings this window either. There's only been 3 teams. We were talking about, Tom, just before you came in, was the fact that Norwich have signed nobody, Leicester have signed nobody, and we're the only other team that haven't.
Norwich aside, obviously, because of the position that they're in.
Yep.
For me, Leicester have still got a big enough squad. They've had the likes of that Dewsbury Hall that have just come in to help the likes of Ndidi, Maddison, Tielemans, Daka, Iheanacho, Vardy. They've got many players in different positions. James Justin's coming back for them at right back or left back or wherever you can play both. They've got a big enough squad as it is anyway to be able to help push when the legs start going in some of our players towards the end of the season. I'm worried about those teams nipping at our heels now when our attention does turn to the Europa League, and say we do get an easy draw and we do get through. It's more miles in the legs at that point. And like I said, if we do not qualify for European football next year, you will kiss goodbye to the likes of those players. The fans will turn on David Moyes, which I don't think should happen. And all of a sudden it will.
Tom, again, this is what I was saying earlier, mate. It's I know why you're thinking it, but it's a bit of an exaggerated opinion. I mean, maybe you've been up at Leeds too long. Who knows? But it's just,
no. But honestly, if we
Rice, yes, Rice, yeah, there's the argument for that. Bowen, I don't think he'll jump ship. I really, really don't, because of that.
But if a team that can offer, if a team that can offer European football for what these guys want, if that's the difference between Bowen breaking into the England squad come World Cup time, why not? I don't think he would.
I know we're going with it, mate. And if Bowen's in the friendlies that are coming up in March. Then maybe that's an argument.
I just think it is such an allure, if you will, as the posh word. It's such an allure to want and have European football. That if you want to attract it, you can have the biggest stadium in the world and you can be in England's biggest city. That does not matter if you do not have European football, because that's ultimately what these top players want. The likes of Zuma were brought to the club because he's not going to leave a Champions League winner if we didn't have European football. that is what the ultimate goal is of these players. And as long as we have that, we'll be able to attract those kinds of players. And I think it was just, for me, I said this again on James's channel, and I'm not by any means comparing Moyes and Allardyce here, but when we were in the top 4 in Allardyce's final season, and the second half of the season was woeful, and I remember being in the away end, I was up at the game at Newcastle, and he was sacked as we were walking out of the ground. He had been let go of manager because people were baying for his head by the end of the season. We'd had such a bad second half of the season, and it just, for me, there are a lot of fickle fans that are on social media and stuff that are already having a dig at Moyes. And I don't think he's completely to blame for the transfer thing. I think that a lot of that obviously is to do with GSB.
But it is
there will be
some,
isn't it? Yeah, exactly. But there will be some fans that will go for Moyes' head towards the end of the season if we haven't, say, performed as well as we should have done. I don't think that's right. No. But all of a sudden, the club can just go into turmoil if Rice leaves. Hypothetically, if Bowen left, people are having a dig at Moyes. Gold and Sullivan aren't investing. It's a recipe potentially for disaster if the second half of the season goes the way we think it might do with lack of signings, etc. So I just think it was such a key transfer window for us, and I just think we've shit the bed really. And all we were asking for was 1 or 2 signings to help, bolster the squad. And it's fallen on deaf ears, unfortunately.
So you don't think we can do it with the squad we have right now? Injuries aside.
That's the question. Injuries aside, of course.
In the immediate future, I think we'll be fine over the next month or 2. But then when the England games start coming in for Rice, then you add European football back into it and the FA Cup and games that are missed for COVID. You're going to be playing Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday again, and there'll be a build up of some of those fixtures again. And all of a sudden, and listen, Antonio is. At any point that hamstring could go, that's the thing. Zuma being potentially rushed back, who knows? He could go. It could happen to anyone, but we're in a position where we can't afford for that to happen because we don't have reliable backups in those positions. So,
well, you say that though, Tom. Even though I agree with you, a lot of people have been saying over the last week or so, and again we were talking about it in the broadcast I did earlier. Will Bowen be the makeshift Antonio backup?
Looks like
it. Unfortunately, he'll have to be.
Therefore, bringing in Vlasic in more of bringing Vlasic out on the wing, which he shouldn't really be because he should be in the number 10 role.
Yeah,
and getting more game time and more experience.
The only and I know he's done it for Hull. The only problem with that for me is when I look at it tactically, I'd much prefer Bowen as an inside forward where he can actually utilize the likes of Antonio to make the runs off and in behind him coming from that right hand side. And I think when he's left alone up top on his own, yes, he can do it. We saw it at Spurs when he scored that incredible solo goal that he had at Spurs in the cup. But yeah, exactly. But for me, he's much more impactful when he's able to sort of come in off the right hand side. And like I said, you utilize having an Antonio there to run off of him. And I think he's not wasted at striker, but he's much more effective as he's as an inside forward. I'm sorry, Rob's projector wall. I've talked too much. I'll let Peach carry on.
No. What you're talking is absolute sense. I think what you're talking is absolute sense. It like if we win Europa League, we go into Champions League, and I have a good feeling that we could win that competition.
Can I? Okay, let me put this. Let me put this to you.
Borussia Dortmund and Barcelona.
Yeah. Can I just say, Barcelona have just re-upped. They've signed Aubameyang. They've got Adama Traore again. They've got this.
Yeah.
Dortmund have Haaland, Bellingham, Hazard, Royce, all the likes of this. If we were to get a Dortmund in the knockout stages, you still don't have Ogbonna back. So that means that either one of Dawson or Zuma will potentially go up against the likes of Haaland. And listen,
Diop.
Or Diop, exactly. Like that's because we didn't sign a Coletta Carr, all of a sudden you've got one of those guys against the likes of Haaland, and it's just going to be kittens. Good night.
Even to be fair, Coletta Carr against Haaland might not be a fair contest.
No, it won't. But at least it's a little bit more sort of experience and has played at international level and also played in the Europa League, Champions League, whatever. I know it's not a comparison.
So is Zuma. Zuma's got that experience.
But when you've got two of those rather than one, and somebody that used to play for Watford
this is the reason why I'm fucking kicking myself, because I did the video yesterday about Kaleta having his medical, because I genuinely thought that was going to go through.
Me too.
And it's just I hate to say
in terms of qualifying, sorry, Nate. In terms of qualifying for Europe, if we can get through Kidderminster, if then we get someone
talking there, mate.
Yeah, then we get someone rubbish. If we can get to the final, pretty much we're secured European football, because I'm guessing we'll be playing against one of the top three.
But we'll have to go through the qualifying rounds, and we know what our history is with that.
What we need is City and Liverpool to win everything, because obviously then it drops the place down for the European stuff. So we're all going to have to, if it gets a bit squeaky bum time towards the end of the season, we're all going to have to pray that Man City and Liverpool start scooping up all the trophies, including the Champions League, because then obviously it helps us out.
And also, I agree with you, chaps. I can't see us finishing in as strong a position in the league as we did last season. But if we could snare that, what's it, the Conference Cup, European Conference Cup, I'd be happy with that. I think it's
still fun, some form of European football, isn't it? Exactly.
Yeah, honestly, as well.
2 years.
I think it would be good fun.
It would be good fun.
At the end of the day,
we're on the up.
You would be going to the middle arse of Europe with the Conference League. You would be flying to Russia and back every other week.
No, I'm not going. I'm watching.
I'm not either.
Go on, JP. What were you going to say, Mike?
All I was going to say is I'm just as disappointed as everybody else. But I've been saying right from the start, this has been a fantastic season so far. You know, we're in way more competitions than we ever thought we'd ever be in, but at this stage of the season, there's unbelievable amount of very very good things that have happened and will still happen within the next 4 months. It's just the fact that, as I've been saying for quite a while, everybody's so used to being in a relegation scrap at this time of the season. Everybody heads their bets on January when everybody knows that January is the time when you either panic buy or you buy fringe players that can't make it at whatever side. That's it. Everybody seems to taking that out of perspective at the minute because of the striker situation, of the centre back situation. I mean, even we still need a left back.
Yep.
As well for that matter. We've been. I mean, Peach knows it. Me and Charlie have had conversations about this every now and again. We've always needed at least one centre back, a left back, a couple of minimum of. Even when Hilaire was with us, I was saying a minimum of 2 centre forwards and a box-to-box midfielder. We've always needed that. So my only criticism towards Moyes and the board is the fact that if we all can see it, how come they aren't doing more to push it through? And the answer is, I hate to say it, I'm not justifying it, but I can understand the reason behind it. The reason is because the club is up to its bollocks in debt.
Yeah, scant.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. £250 million in debt.
You said that, didn't you?
It's great.
I'm halfway between Peaches. Everything's good. We look at us. We're doing well. We can do some good things. Between that and I really would have quite liked Bournemouth's transfer window. Just adding.
They've had. I said this on James's. They've literally had a lower tier Premier League style transfer window.
Big time. Yeah.
Just 4 or 5 key players coming in.
But the thing is, those
people
Todd
smash
Campbell
up the
and
squad, get everyone else on their feet, get everyone else on their toes,
and just Todd Campbell and
freshen up the squad.
Those signings, those Todd Campbell and Phillips, they're Premier League-esque signings. Like they could do a job for a Premier. And that was the thing when I said I would have even taken Reece Heatley, because even then it's just a body that helps, you know. And the thing is, you can be going so well in the Premier League, you could be going, you know, you could be having a mediocre season or whatnot, but in January, everybody needs to somehow re-up just a little bit just to help you in that fight for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Listen, Spurs have had a mediocre season by their standards. Fair enough, but they've gone out. They're not even in a Champions League. They're not even in a Europa League. They're in Europa Conference. Oh no, they're not even in that. Are
Not
they?
even that. They've crashed out of that, didn't they?
Yeah. And they've still managed to sign Kulishevsky and Bentancur. You know, just
and
to
still
help.
paying back the stadium as well for that matter.
No, that's true. So, and you know how tight-ass Daniel Levy can be with signings and stuff. So, you know, everybody has to re-up. Sorry, Rebecca's going to hand me a coffee. I'm just going to stop the camera for 1 second. I am still here. But
what's on your mug, mate?
I was going to say about Daniel Levy, though. Daniel Levy gets a lot of
she's a good egg.
Daniel Levy gets a lot of stick, but that is exactly what West Ham need. I have no idea who is making the decisions at West Ham. Whereas
I don't even think they do, Lou, honestly.
Sorry, mate. The buck stops with that guy. Whereas
Sullivan,
I think you said just a minute ago, we've got Krestinsky, we've got Sullivan, we've got Gold, we've got Brady, we've got Moyes, where everybody knows that whoever the manager is can say, I want these players. But there's one guy that says yes or no, and rightly, wrongly, the buck stops with that guy. Yep. And I don't think that's what we've got. Even for a fan's point of view, who to blame. Also from a business point of view, who is the guy who's saying yes or no?
Do you know
David
what?
Sullivan.
As much as we sort of laugh at Spurs
but Levy will be at the stadium 24/7.
This is. I was just about to say, and I make you right, Luke, because even though we do laugh at Spurs and stuff sometimes, I would rather have at times, not all the time, but I would rather have someone like Daniel Levy in there who will he will be an absolute bastard when it comes to selling players and making sure he gets most value for money out of his players, and he does buy relatively well in terms of when he spends. They do usually get value for money in what they get as well.
Yeah,
and I think obviously, Sullivan is the one who says you can go or don't go, being the controlling shareholder at the club. But like I said, I think the overriding thing for me is you can be having a great season like we are, but you still sometimes need a little bit of a push and a helping hand in January from one or two. Like, take Jesse Lingard. We may not have finished as high as we did in the second half of the season, but we had a rejuvenated Jesse Lingard that came in and completely changed the picture for us. Sometimes it just takes one signing to help you out in the long run.
Sometimes, but just don't forget that Allaire helped us get there in the first place. We were fourth when,
and that's
three
windows, and we've still not replaced the man yet. Three windows.
Yeah, and that's why everybody was hoping that out of everything, this was the window where we were going to get a striker. That's the main crux of it.
But isn't that the joke in terms of signing strikers? You add David Moyes to Golden Sullivan, you could boom. They could see Gabriel Batistuta and go, nah, not for us.
I don't know. I mean, as I say, the collective car deal collapsed because David Sullivan was whinging over £2 million.
Yeah, I thought that was going through, JP. I did.
It made total complete and utter sense.
Yeah,
complete and utter sense. I thought that was the only deal that was going to go through.
Yeah,
because nothing else was looking anything. I mean, this whole bloody Nunez stuff. I mean, come on.
Oh,
really?
Really?
What 7 hours before deadline? You put in a £60 million bid for someone who's worth 70. Yeah, that was going to work, wasn't it? Who's currently in Uruguay?
Someone's going to take about 9 or 10 hours to get over to there to get his medical in time. It's just.
Do you know what? I was listening actually a few Benfica fans on social media. I'm actually low-key kind of happy we dodged a bullet on Darwin Nunez, because pretty much everybody was saying that he's just a little bit more composure in front of goal and scores a few more goals than Antonio, but he's just a bigger version of Antonio. Apparently his distribution, his touches, his passing, in his overall actual game itself, bar the goals, is woeful. And they were like, it's just a bigger version of Antonio. So I'm actually
as is Adama Traore, and everybody wanted him.
Yeah, and I'm glad we dodged a bullet with that one as well. But yeah. And the thing is, Nunez, I said on James's channel, yes, he's a big lump, but he doesn't play up front for Benfica.
No,
you're right.
Yaremchuk plays up front for Benfica, and Nunez plays in off the left. So it's like, I don't know.
This whole saga started from Bacca. Like, honestly, this whole saga.
Mate, this whole saga's been starting since GSB are in charge.
I'm sorry, that's the one thing that I'm really upset with GSB today. They should have at least put in a bid for Bacca just to let him know we're still interested. Surely. The poor lad is sat there today going, he's going, I want to text someone, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Where's my customary phone call at 7 o'clock at night from West Ham in the January transfer window asking where I am?
The funny thing is, when I was talking to Yaz, right? It was me and Bill and a few others. Mike was on it as well, for that matter.
Okay.
And I jokingly said, it was about, I don't know, it's about 9 o'clock or whatever it was, 9:15, whatever. And I said it wouldn't be at all surprised if within an hour and 45 minutes that Jim White comes out saying West Ham have tried. And I'm not joking. Within about half an hour of me saying that, they were saying it on Sky Sports.
No. Oh God, that's the thing. You don't listen.
No,
there's three people that the three people that have got David Sullivan and David Gold cock rammed so far up their arse. I don't even care because they're not going to watch this, and I don't think I'll be done for libel. But is Hugh Southern, is Sean Whetstone, and it's Jim White. Yeah. And it's the same PR excuses every single window. And the timing of the jokes that they make, like Sean was literally on Twitter laughing that we weren't going to sign anybody. Like, they're so far away like, there's no understanding between when the right time and the wrong time to say things are. It's one big joke to them if we don't sign something. Do you know what I mean? They must think we're idiots.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean, mate. But Tom, with Sean, he just likes to wild people up. That's the only reason why he did it.
He's a decent bloke. I've
spoken to him a few times.
He's a nice bloke. Yeah. But it's just, there's a time and a place. It's like, I said to him before, why have you wound people up? And he says, I just get bored and I find it funny. People are furious this evening about what's happened. There really is a time and a place for it.
I mean, even I made the stupid mistake of having a look at an article on Claret Hugh yesterday.
Oh, JP.
And right at the end of it, I wet myself. It was so funny. It was just like right at the end of it, our sources say we are trying.
I saw that. I read the same thing.
I was on Gateseas earlier, and I said, I bet there's a guy who's got a season ticket at West Ham. He just goes, watches the football, claps, enjoys his time there, has a hot dog, buys his program, goes home, doesn't really focus on West Ham, then turns up next week, claps, buys his program. I kind of envy that guy.
Well, we used to be that back in the day, mate. We used to be that.
That's what I saw today. I saw.
He's not here at 11:45 on a whatever night talking about the fact we haven't signed someone we've never heard of.
Yeah. No, but I saw in one article, I saw one boy, he said because of what's going on today, he's like selling his season tickets. And he's
he won't. He won't sell his season ticket.
I know, it's just that because it's frustration, isn't it? Like, really.
But there's for clicks and likes and stuff, and that just goes too far anyway, because it's never going to get to that point. But it's just, I think we're all disillusioned and so frustrated, because we all knew how pivotal it was to, with the position that we were in. And I think we're born out of frustration because we've been subjected to years and years of just shit, basically. And now we're actually seeing the club on the up. We want us to keep continuing to do well.
Agreed.
So it's only born out of frustration, that it's not a hatred for Moyes. It's not a hatred for the players. It's not, we know how well they've been
more than anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's look at hindsight, right? Let's look at hindsight. Let's look at hindsight to all of you guys. And it's like, let's say May comes, we win the Europa League, got a spot in the Champions League, maybe had a good go at the FA Cup, got into the final. Hopefully it's not a Gerrard last 4-minute like injury time thing. Like, let's say we progress this season and finish 6th, like that's a tall shot. But after the fatigue and that, let's say we finish like 9th, but we win the Europa, win the FA Cup. Moyes didn't make a change in the January transfer market. Like
Pete,
showed
can I stop you
confidence.
there?
Hold on. Showed
Pete,
confidence in his players.
If we win the Europa League and
Like,
the FA Cup,
yeah,
Moyes can do whatever he wants.
No, but I'm saying, but wouldn't you
I
look
shall
back?
gift David Moyes Rebecca if he does that.
No, but
Yeah, whatever.
no,
Whatever.
silly
You
talk,
can
dog.
do what you want.
I
No,
want to know
silly
where
talk.
you're getting your red
No,
stripe
silly
from.
talk,
Because
dog.
fucking hell, mate.
No, but wouldn't you look back and be like, wow, Moyes like kind of got it right, not wasting any money.
Of course, that's what hindsight is.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly what hindsight is.
I know. So let's like hope hindsight comes true. Like honestly, because Moyes has to have had enough confidence in the players that he has to do what he did. And because I know the whole reason of the stalling of Moyes signing that contract was to get things like this sorted. And Moyes has said on several occasions they got money to spend in the transfer window. Don't worry, if I find the right player, I will. He didn't. So that's showing a lot of confidence in the players that he does have. So I hope he goes on and does it and proves everybody wrong. I really, really do.
I'm going to dip out just because I'm going to
go.
go get something to eat. But it's been a pleasure. Nice to see you all.
Hold on, you can't leave like that. What are you getting to eat?
Can't
say.
What?
I've got a couple of chicken Kievs in the freezer.
Oh,
love chicken Kiev.
I do. I've got fish cakes. No, I've got fish cakes, chicken Kievs, some frozen vegetables. I've got some very basic stuff.
Please. Yes, please. Yes, please.
I need to. I've got to cook for me and Rebecca. So yeah, there you go. I'm late to it because I was expecting us to potentially sign someone. I don't know why. So there we go.
We still might, didn't don't they have that like hour grace or whatever, like 2 hour grace?
No, but you got to put the deal sheets in, and it has to be somewhat on the way completed. Yeah, okay. Robert Snodgrass has just been let go on a free by West Brom, so
we might sign him.
All right, take it easy. See you later.
Right, see you, mate.
Take it easy, mate.
But no, honestly, I mean, this the whole thing is just down to the fact that you look at how pissed off Moyes was at the Man United game. You look how angry he was. That is not a man that is happy with his squad. Yes, all right, the couple of decisions didn't go our way the way that they should have done, for that matter, rather than going our way. That is a man that was angry that he hasn't got what he needs. It's as simple as that. So
was he angry at the squad, or was he angry at like the board? What do you think?
Probably how this window's gone.
Yes,
probably both. Because as I say, because Moyes is normally quite a placid guy.
Yep.
But there are occasions when things have really pissed him off, and you can tell they've pissed him off. And so don't watch the match of the day, whatever. Watch what they put up on the website. The West Ham website. He is fuming.
Yeah.
He's not saying anything, but you can see his eyes. I mean, he's got quite bulgy eyes anyway, but his eyes were bulging. He was so angry.
Yeah, you can see it in his face, can't you? It's almost like
it wasn't the anger he normally has of when he's frustrated in losing a game. It was, you could see it was a lot deeper than that.
You know who else has that anger, dog? And they're always, I don't know why, but whenever I see them on YouTube, they're always angry. And I'm like, cheer up. Like, have fun with what you're doing. But they're always angry. It's this guy. He's like Mr. Angry.
24/7. I'm always angry. I'm not happy. Ever.
Mate, seriously?
Ever.
Man beast is never angry.
I'm always angry, JP. How dare you, John? I am an angry human being all of the time.
Charlie, he's a smiley emoji, dog. Like Charlie Walsh is a smiley emoji, dog.
Oh my God, one goes and the other one turns up.
Yes, I did see him. I was just having a conversation with someone else. I would have come on while he was here. First of all, John, nice to speak to you, bro. I haven't spoken to you in a while. How are you? Apart from outside of the nonsense of today, how are you in general? You good?
In general, mate, things are looking peachy. No pun intended.
I'm glad. Now, anyway, now the pleasantries are done. What a bollocks day. Am I right, love? Am I right?
Danny, get Danny out. Yes, Danny.
Come on, Danny.
Yes, Danny.
Come on, bro.
Look at John. Look at John.
Come on, man. If there's one thing we need today,
we need Danny.
Charlie, a million questions, mate. Seriously.
Fire away. He can answer them all.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia. It's always sunny. Like that's
One, why have you got to cut out of Danny DeVito? And two,
Incorrect.
why have you got to cut out of Danny DeVito? Looks like he's just come back from his colonoscopy.
Okay, first, all right, I'll answer the second question first. He is wearing Crocs. Now, as pictures of Danny go, I will say it's not the best one you've ever seen in your life. I will admit that.
It's life size though, isn't it? It is life size.
It's actually life size. Yeah. So I bought. Fun fact: I bought it for my girlfriend for Christmas, as a joke. Amongst a bunch of other presents, I got her a life size cutout of Danny DeVito, which we love. But she does find quite if I leave it up overnight. And then she walks into the room and it's just there in the morning. It does shit her up a little bit. So that's why he's always down. So I have to pick him up. But to answer your first question, John, why do I have a life-size cutout of Danny's DeVito? The statement is wrong because I have two cutouts of Danny DeVito. So it's not just one. It's this one's a little one though. And I just have him perched on, I'm not going to lie, on the mantelpiece next to pictures of me and loved ones. There is
Danny DeVito.
Danny. So,
I would say Taxi, but perhaps you wouldn't get the reference.
Oh, no, I got it. I got it. That was old. That was, Charlie, have you ever seen that show?
So am I.
No.
Oh, Taxi! That was a good show.
I know he was in it.
Got more hair in Taxi for one.
Yeah. Who was the genius comedian in Taxi? But he was also a nutter. What was his name?
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, he was good, but he was a nutcase, wasn't he? Yeah, he was brilliant. He was genius.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Loved him, man.
I'm also in my pajamas, so I have my peachy coloured trousers on.
So your peachy coloured trousers.
That's just the life we're living today.
There you go. I know.
It's the life we're living,
So, thoughts on us not signing Messi?
Oh, bro. Just,
Yeah, I know.
Just, so we just did our deadline day stream on Hammers Chat. And we just ended it. And it was the last thing I said, and it's just the only thing I think that I have left to say really, and anything is it was so monumentally bad, and the worst thing is I wasn't surprised.
None of us were, mate. That's the thing. None of us genuinely were. None of us were. Yeah. And what makes it even worse is we've still got at least 2 to 3 more windows before they go.
Yeah.
This is the bigger picture. Looking forward, all right, we might have a bit of a decent summer transfer window, but
Carlos Bacca.
The thing is I remember when Carlos Bacca, when we were getting linked to him,
poor lad sat there going, "Where's my beard?"
Yeah,
I spoke about it at the time when we were linked to him. And it wasn't a golden opportunity or anything. It was too much money for a player who was aging at that point. But if we signed him and he fired us into Europe, then it would have been worth the 20 million he was being mooted for. Absolutely. And that's kind of where we're at right now. I understand that you might not want specific people or too much money and all this sort of stuff.
Interject, Charlie. Milesy, you're not that big that you are the building.
I'm the building.
He's a unit, isn't he? He's an absolute
unit. The building.
But this is the thing. This is no, it's fine. This is the thing, right? It's we might have had an issue being Coletta Carr was too much money. We wanted him on loan, or Nunez was too much money, or whatever. Yeah, but if those signings get us into Europe again for a second season in a row, you make that money back. Yeah, it's worth it. It's such
18 million for Coletta Carr is not a huge amount.
It's not at all. And that's their asking price. If you offer them slightly less, they probably would have taken it. They need the money.
Well, no. That was the thing, because they wanted. I think they wanted like 17, 18 up front, and it was 14 million plus 4 million on add-ons, and they couldn't come again. A usual Sullivan debacle. They couldn't find an impasse with it. Join the club, Andy.
It's infuriating, man. Like, just
but
watching
it's West Ham. This is the thing. I mean, I don't understand why everyone's getting out of there.
But the thing is, it's not West Ham though. It's David Sullivan.
We normally make at least one signing by now, but still, it's a West Ham January transfer. It is.
But I wouldn't see. The thing is I don't necessarily disagree with you, but what I would word it as, it's a January transfer window with David Moyes and David Sullivan in charge.
Yep.
Because
we've had 2 of those beforehand, and everything has been all right. So check and in 2 years back for one.
Yeah, but that's like once. And that was when we're in trouble, and that's the problem. Because the time before that, when we had him, we got Hugel in on deadline day out of nowhere. Our director of football got fired for being racist, and then like 3 weeks later, we signed Ever on a free. So like that was the first January we had. Second January, good. Souček and Bowen, well done.
After the first January, after the first January there, João Mario.
Joe Mario. To be honest, he wasn't too bad a player.
I thought he was quite good.
Wasn't it?
I just like saying João Mario.
I thought he performed. Like, we went in for him even after we let him go. I like
João Mario.
I thought he was quality. I like the other boy we got from Real Madrid. I think it was, man. I forget his name. Ebola or Abiello or I forget.
Arbeloa.
We haven't. Mate, we've got enough problems with one virus over here as it is. We don't need another one.
Yes. His name wasn't Omicron. It was Abiello.
I'm trying to rack my brains who you're thinking of now.
Arbeloa,
yeah.
That's it. He was quality.
Really? A midfielder playing at right back? Come on,
but I thought, Antonio, striker.
Well, the one player in Reese was too. I thought Lucas Perez was underused for someone who could score goals. But I also thought, do you remember Faguli?
I love him. He's
I thought he did no wrong. I thought he did no wrong whatsoever.
I like Sarati
absolutely
too.
Nothing
I like
wrong.
Sarati. I thought
His
Sarati had skills.
His debut was perfect.
Yes,
because in the Europa League, when the stadium hadn't been fucking fully built there.
Yep.
Because I remember I had to get a seat about 20 meters further up where I should have been.
Mm-hmm.
He came on. Well, what was it, about 15, 20 minutes to go? If I remember correctly, I think he had an assist or built one of the goals up, but he certainly scored on his debut as well. For that matter, it was the perfect debut. Yep. He did absolutely nothing wrong.
Probably knows better than me, but wasn't he Algerian captain till recently?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
In the same side as Ben Rama.
That was kind of like, I think we look back at that time as really negative for many reasons, but honestly, like, that window, we actually did relatively good business. Like, I don't think it worked out, but like, Faguli was a genuine coup at the time. Yep. To get Faguli on a free when he was at Valencia before then, he was genuinely good. Like, we shouldn't like it was actually pretty good. And again,
I thought he was tarred with the same brush as that Torre bloke.
Yeah, and even then, Cantore had like an element of bad luck about it. But like, it's the same nonsense where it's like, he got injury, he got injured, and he's just never been the same after that injury. Even after he left us, it's not even like a Haller situation where he leaves and turns into the player he was before he joined us. No, his injury just clearly utterly just lacked his ability, which sucks. But I thought we did all right. I mean, it's just the whole thing is just. We're just not good.
One thing that annoys. Sorry to interject, mate. But one thing that really annoys me about that transition period to the stadium is the only player that we've got on the book still to this day from that original lineup. It's fucking Masuaku. How on earth have we not been able to shift him over the last 5 or 6 seasons?
We gave him a new contract. We gave him a 6-year contract.
I know, but seriously, how have we still not been able to sell him as
I remember when we did. I remember me and Gio did a video on the boats, right? It was during the summer when we signed Fornals, I think it was. And we gave Massive, and we were doing like a tactics video. We had a board and or some nonsense. Anyway, we gave Massive.
That was around about the time I met you, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
Because we watched. I remember we watched 4-0 in the under-21s Euros in the pub.
Yeah, it must have been around the exact same time. I don't think it was that day, but it was around the exact same time when we all did those videos together in the Abbey Tap. What's now called the Abbey Tap. I don't know if it's called that now, or what it was called then, but I think it's the Abbey Tap now. But anyway, like, we gave him a 6-year deal.
Yeah.
And like it was, and at the time it was like, I said to Gio, I was like, do you think he's actually going to use him? And he was like, I think it's more just a protecting your investment kind of thing, because he was getting near to his contract running out and he could have gone for nothing.
Yeah.
But at this point, you'd probably take nothing. I mean, that's the bigger problem with moments like this window and today is like Yarmolenko, Masuaku, people like that. They're going to go for next to nothing. Well, I mean, Yarmolenko's going to go for a free now because he's not going to get to the end of the season, but they're not going to go for like Masuaku won't really sell for anything, and you need to replace them. And so you're going to have to spend the money at some point. If you sell Masuaku in this window and get his replacement in, sure, you're only going to get max 3-4 million for Masuaku as a footballer. But that's 3 or 4 million towards the replacement you're going to get when he's not going to go for nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have to be proactive, and we're just not. We're so
What worries me?
So reactive.
What worries me is I'm just looking on Transfer Market because this just popped in my head. The players that are coming to the end of their contract in 4 months' time.
Yes,
right?
There's a lot of them.
Yarmolenko, Johnson, Ogbonna, Fredericks, Fabianski, obviously Noble, and David Martin. Right,
they've given Ogbonna another year.
Yeah, but he hasn't signed it properly. I think he's only recently signed it. But
Fabianski's just signed his as well.
Is a year's extension.
But that's just kicking the can down the road. Yeah, both Fabianski and Ogbonna.
As you say, mate, it is just kicking the can down the road.
So but
I also think that we are paying, as you said about Masuaku and Fredericks and Yarmolenko, we are paying for a lot of mistakes previously. We've just only paid Wilshere a lot of money to go away. So we sign these players on long-term contracts, and I bet you they've got incrementals in that contract. So we're probably paying Fredericks now somewhere in the region of 70 grand a week because of the way it all staggers and goes up.
Yeah.
So I think our wage bill is one of our massive problems, and I really am not making excuses. But if we,
that's a fair point. It's a fair point. Completely fair point.
Get rid of some of those players on stupid. Like I reckon Frederick Lanzini must have been a lot of money. So we can get rid of the players like Spurs have had to do, and Arsenal have had to do. Get rid of the players on a lot of money that aren't contributing, as it were. But then, as you say, the problem is you've got to have numbers and bodies to replace them, and I don't see that in our youth policy at the moment.
And also for the end, coming towards the end of next season as well, Soufal, Diop, Lanzini, Creswell, Dawson, and Randolph. You know, if there's a and then Rice is into 24. Socek.
What we're saying, JP, what we're saying is give Mark Noble a 5-year contract. Yeah.
What I'm saying is this is one of the bigger picture is the reason why a lot of people are losing their shit over this window, and probably will be in summer as well, is because if we don't tie up Johnson to a new contract, I know we're sorting out. So Socek's only just recently agreed one as well and stuff. But we've got a lot of players. Some need to leave, but I think we'll be keeping hold of the wrong ones. Looking at the bigger picture, which is why we need to start investing now in exactly the same way that Man City have done to the degree where their player they bought in today isn't gonna start until the beginning of next season. Yeah, that's long-term thinking. They're already thinking about next season. We don't even think about next fucking week, much less next month.
100%. Like you look at someone like, and I don't. I'm not saying this person specifically. I'm saying someone like this, but Fabio Carvalho, who's around for 5 million of Fulham. Yeah. It's those kind of things where you can sign someone for that much and then just loan them back to Fulham for the rest of the season. And then you just know that in the summer, you're going to have someone who has extra experience on their hands. When you look at, say, Hugo Ekitike, for example, and I'm not as convinced as other people were on Ekitike in terms of like coming and doing an instant job at West Ham or anything. I think he's all right. His stats are pretty decent, but like I was never convinced or anything. But I had a conversation with someone yesterday about the idea that someone had said the words to the person I was speaking to that he's the next Thierry Henry, and going, well, if he's not the next Thierry Henry, then we're never getting him. You do have the chance to get the next Thierry Henry, but if you're West Ham United, you only get that chance once, and that's when there's still some risk to it. Otherwise, you're shopping in a pool of players who have been there and done that. And I don't want to. I've said a lot of bad things about David Moyes, and I'm going to continue now. No, I've said a lot of bad things, right? And one of the things that pisses me off most is this idea of the Red Bull model. Red Bull go and sign people when it's their first move, or max their second move. And that's why they're able to work the way they are. They take calculated risks and then they sell them for profit. And then, hey, if it's a calculated risk and it doesn't pay off, that's fine. You get your money back to an extent. But when you sign someone like Yarmolenko, when you sign and Craig Dawson obviously is nowhere near as expensive, but the logic remains the same. You're getting nothing back for them at all because they're going to be too old and it's just going to run out their contracts and stuff like that anyway. So there's no point. And unless you're someone like Fabianski, who at the time genuinely changed our squad for the better because he was such a good goalkeeper and something we didn't have, then it's pointless. It's utterly pointless. And we keep we make the same mistakes over and over again. And like you just said, John, like the idea of like we've got however long until they leave, a year until they leave, a year and a bit, a year and 18 months, whatever it is, until they leave, right? Nothing's gonna change. They have no, like Sullivan, who still seemingly has the most amount of control of the club to some extent or another, no matter what Sean Whetstone says, seems to have the most amount of control of the club. He's got no incentive to spend because he's leaving in 18 months, 2 years, whenever he leaves. So why would he put any of his money in? Conversely, Kretinsky, why is he going to put a huge amount of money in because he doesn't own the club yet? And then you've got David Moyes in the middle of it, who can't make his mind up about anything, seemingly. All he does is react. He's the most reactive person I've ever, even with substitutions, he only ever starts making substitutions once the other opposition have made all three. And it's
or we're 2 fucking goals down.
Right, yeah, exactly. We'll sit there and we'll go, okay, we need to make a sub, we need to make a sub, we need to make a sub. They score, and then he goes, right, what can we do? And it's like, bro, please. It's the most...
Yarmolenko!
It's the most, exactly. Last game, and this was something else. Someone said on the Hams chat, someone in the live chat said this, about the idea of maybe it's a silver lining because the youth will get game time. Bro, they won't. They won't. Last game, what did we do subs-wise?
He's got a pecking order, isn't he?
He's
got a pecking order.
He's got a pecking order, and the youth aren't on it because they don't come on.
Yeah, because all we did was bring in Fredericks for Soufal.
Exactly. We only brought on Fredericks and no one else. When the
for these young players to get on up front, for your Okaflex to start up front, there's got to be 6 injuries.
It's
5 injuries.
It's insane. It's insane. And the first time I really noticed it, there was the game against City where Fabianski was injured. So was it Randolph who started and then he got injured and had to come off during the game? And we had David Martin on the bench and we had Trott on the bench. Yeah. And I was doing a halftime or a full-time thing with Gio review. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, why did he bring on Martin? Why did he bring on Trott? And Gio went, if he doesn't bring on Trott, then when is he going to bring him on? When is it's just not going to happen? And I was like, you're not wrong. And that was the first time I noticed it. How many more times since then? I know it's disgusting. I hate it. But like, how many more times since then have we seen situations where he has chosen someone else playing out of position or someone who just isn't going to help instead of bringing on a youth player? And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a game that matters. And I feel like we always sort of have excuses. Like the first time it was like, well, we're in a relegation battle, so it's difficult to bring youth players on. I'm like, I don't disagree with that. But now, we're chasing Europe, so you can't bring on youth players. There's always an excuse every single time. At some point, and this is a terrible analogy, I appreciate, you just got to throw the baby in the swimming pool and hope it swims. You just have to, because otherwise, what are you going to do? Never let the baby swim.
Well, Charlie, if Czech international Sebastian Kral can't get a game for West Ham, Lord knows how 17-year-old.
No, honestly, he is terrible. Everyone was thinking because he was mates with Soufal and Souček, he was going to be brilliant. Yeah. You look at him at the Euros. He had the worst Euros I've seen for a long time. I was literally, when we were doing the watch-alongs and all the rest of it, I was saying, Krau's coming in. Why? What on earth? What for? He doesn't offer anything at all. And I've been proven right. And I'm guessing it was a Sullivan stroke Souček deal that pushed it through because I
don't disagree with any of that, mate. But if you've got a pecking order, which he definitely has, and Kral is always on the bench, if he can't get more than, I think he said combined in the Premier League something like 76 minutes, something stupid? Was it less than that?
Less than that. He's played more cup games than you're right. He made his debut against Watford, I think, and that was about 5 minutes on the pitch, something like that. He's played more cup. I know what you mean. In total, yes, it works out to about that. But in terms of Premier League, because it's been,
if we say it's a Sullivan special, then that also backs up Moyes to say, look, can you stop giving me these rubbish players? But also, by the same token, he's an international player. Sorry, David, you're a coach. Can you get something out of this, please? And that's why I've said to Pete. Yeah, me and Pete have said a few times. There must be some strikers out there who aren't the finished article by any means, shape, or form.
Yeah.
If you buy two of them for cheap as chips, in inverted commas, and he can work with them, I'm sorry. If he's a coach and he's got all those coaches there, he must be able to see someone that he can say, well, we can work with him, and rather than buying the finished article.
Which is what goes back to what I was saying to Peach about Moyes after the Man United game. Because you can see how fuming he was. Absolutely fuming about it. And Charlie, that brings circles round to what you're saying about we were just joking about it.
We'll blame you, Charlie. Charlie, come on.
The Frederick substitution was proof that he hasn't got enough on the bench, and I reckon that's the reason why he bought Fredericks on, purely because it's just you could have bought. I know Johnson wasn't in the squad for that, so it was only like this is the only option I've got to bring on. Fucking help! That's what the rest of us saw. So I'm hoping. Well, it's irrelevant now because the window's closed, but that was the problem.
The thing is, he did have like Vlasic on the bench as well. There were, but the problem is my problem with Moyes is like, how do I word it? I guess I'll just word it the same way I did in the Hammer Chat stream. I think when you look at GSB, the excuses ran out a long time ago. Everyone got fed up of them either when we moved, if not very, very soon after that. People were like done with everything they could ever do or say. You're just done. And then everyone, or the majority at least, were done with them the time people started marching to the stadium. Yep. Then okay, the excuses have run out for GSB. They've got nowhere. It's now a matter of time. It's when rather than if they go. And they could have sat there and gone till kingdom come. No, we're going to hand it down to our children. We all knew they were going, right? And now obviously Kaczynski's in the background and everything else. Charlie. Go on, then you first, because I probably missed it.
No, we were talking about it. This is what worries me because we've got three transfer windows still to come before they go, And this is what worries me. It's going to be like.
Sorry, JP.
Don't get me wrong. If there's another protest
do you think
march,
they're going in 3 transfer windows?
potentially, because they're next summer is when they can sell the club without paying a fee to the council. I think yet again that they can sell it whenever they want, but it's not a fee. It's a dispensation on the tax they have to pay back. Yeah.
And it is a good dispensation, but if it's a funny one, if they can play the long game to get the stadium for absolutely nothing.
But the thing is I'll be real with you. I don't necessarily disagree with you, Luke, but what I will say this. They don't have, and I mean this in the kindest possible way, specifically to David Gold and also to a lesser extent Sullivan, they ain't got time on their hands, bro. Like, this is the biggest, and I mean this in the kindest possible way. This is the biggest deal they are ever going to do in their lives by such a significant distance.
Yeah, also in counter that, Charlie, why do you think they've increased board members to their family?
There's a bunch of reasons, but I agree with JP. I think you look at it and you say this: for them, it's no longer worth the money. It really isn't. Like, they could just sit there, of course they could, and just take the interest from loans and everything else to pay themselves a couple of million every year, and they could do that. That's not infeasible. But A, neither of them need the money, and B, again, they don't have time on their hands. And it's honestly,
but I don't think it's ever about the money for them. I always think it's been about the prestige, the fact they're sat in the boardroom.
I don't necessarily disagree with that either. I don't necessarily disagree with that either. But what I would also say is this: that prestige is gone. Would you? And you can sit there. You could sit in the
basis. What do you think David Sullivan does?
But then you sit in a stadium where 60,000 people are hating you to your face. It's a very different, and I say this as someone. Me and JP, right? Like, obviously Peach does live stuff as well. Like, and Luke, you appear on shows, but me and JP have done this a long time. Sometimes people just saying shit to you in a live chat is fucking difficult to deal with. Now imagine when they were sat there and they had people throwing shit at them from the stadium. It's a different ball game. I don't necessarily disagree with you that I think I agree. I think it is. There is a significant part of it that's about the money, but there also is a significant part about the prestige. I agree with you there. This is the biggest deal in their lives, not just money wise, but also in terms of the public perception on them. And I'm not just talking about West Ham here. How often have we all had conversations here with people we know who don't support West Ham, who bring up the fact we get the stadium, quote, for free? How often have I've had this tons of times, right? And again, this is the whole thing. This is the biggest deal they're ever going to make in their lives because it basically makes or breaks their reputation.
And let's not forget.
Charlie, have you ever seen pictures of David Sullivan's house?
Bro, I don't. The amount of times that guy, how is he a billionaire? Just get someone to decorate your house, you weirdo.
Do you honestly think that his ego isn't big enough to care what people think about him?
He doesn't, and this is what I'm trying to say. Point. It's the fact that because they've got an X amount of time before that dispensation is removed. Do they really think any more protest is going to bother him? It didn't bother him first time.
But also, let's not forget, there for a while.
But that's the whole point. That's the whole point. But let's not forget that this is the second time that they've been on the board at West Ham. They were on the board originally back in the late 90s, and they tried to increase their stake, and the board went, no, fuck off, we don't want anything to do with you, you're nuts. And that's why they went out and bought Birmingham. And then they came back again, and they were hovering as small shareholders until the Icelandic crash, and they took their opportunity to buy the club at the lowest amount they could possibly spend.
Can I said this to Peach as well today. Okay. GSB sell. Who do you want to sell them to? And I also pointed out to Peach, there's very few eco-friendly vegan chickpea farmers that are billionaires.
Well, to be honest, mate, from what I understand, and Charlie probably sees the same information that I do, that Kretinsky's already agreed to it.
Yeah.
He's already agreed to be the next owner, and this is the reason why that 180 million. Hang on. That's why that 180 million pound was put in, because it's bringing the debt down. So he doesn't have to pay more than he's happy with. This is the problem. This is the problem.
I did a little bit of research on this fellow, and he's made his money through a Czech internet media company, but most of the money it was made by his wife's father, who is now dead.
But he's also got shares in the post office. He's also got shares in Waitrose.
Yeah,
he knows how British businesses work.
But is it, with all due respect to him? I mean, as you well know, I'm a billionaire, but is he a billionaire? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's the thing. We will never know. It's like with David Sullivan. The majority of his he's probably spout of skint as you and I in the real world, but his liquidity is all.
I don't know. I'm pretty skint, bro.
Well, he's got most of his money is all tied up in shops and businesses and other stuff.
It's the eternal flip of like Sullivan can claim he's a billionaire, but that also includes his stakes in West Ham, of which he values himself. So I'm
always a bit nervous about a guy, a billionaire, who's got loads of money, can do what you want. Going, you know what I want to do? I want to buy a football club. That's what I need in my life.
It's something else. It's a forever dumb decision. It's a forever dumb decision to be made. I think when you say who would you want to take over, it's just someone who's someone who will try and improve the club. That's all I need. That's all I want, really. Yeah. I could disagree with their methods and everything else, but that's all I really want. Now, when it comes to the moral side of it, there are obvious lines you draw. Yeah. I would not support Newcastle United with their ownership. Right? Now, that's a very easy line to draw because there's bad, and then there's the Saudi Arabian government. So there's levels to this game of horrendousness, right? But
that's what I mean.
And that was the point I was going to say there, Charlie. Is the fact that
the chickpea farmer.
Yeah, exactly. There's people invest hundreds of millions of pounds into a business to get that back at some point. That's all they do. That's all they do. The Saudis will be in charge of Man City for time immemorial because nobody's going to be able to buy them out at any point. And likewise with Newcastle. Let's not forget that Bournemouth are Saudi invested, not to the level that Man City are, but they had Saudi investment.
And this is one of the things I was going to say about why I think they will sell basically as soon as they can. It might not. I'm not saying the day that the clause in the contract goes away, they're like, right, club website statement, we're gone. But that's when the process is over. But I think it will be within the process of beginning at that stage, right?
Yeah.
And it's because realistically, again, this is never going to make more money than it is at that moment.
Nope.
Because if they're not going to spend money to invest in it, then the club's not going to become worth any more money than it is now. Not by significant leaps and bounds. And again, they don't have time on their hands. It's not, if it was Jack Sullivan who owned the club, he has all the time in the bloody world to sit here and go, well, I hope Premier League's funds go the right way and this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. But realistically, without investment into the club, it's not going to get significantly better, which is also one of the most frustrating things about today is actually you invest a little bit and all of a sudden we can get Europe again next season, whereas now that's slightly in doubt. They will make the money when they have the opportunity to do it. And the opportunity is the maximum amount is when the clause goes away and they no longer have to, none of their profits go to the government anymore. It just goes straight into their pocket, apart from taxes, obviously. But that's the accountant in me talking. But yeah, like that's when it happens, right? That's just the way it is. And as JP said, the fact they have an agreement in place for an exact price of how much it's exactly going to be. You don't make that sort of agreement unless you have the idea of selling. Otherwise, there's no point in that deal even being in there.
I mean, as I say, I wasn't exaggerating either. I mean, Charlie, I'm sure you might have gone over the accounts as well. But to put it in, at the start of the season, we went into with a debt of £259.519 million.
Yeah.
Now that 170, 180 pound that Krasinski's put in is obviously going to try and is obviously trying to half that, but still, the club is in a lot of worse state than anybody wants to admit.
When you say went into the season, that can't be right. Well, the accounts are filed in April.
No, the accounts were filed on the just before Christmas. You go on the website, you can have a look at them. I went through them all. I've done that for the last 3 seasons on the trot. It's £259.5 million in debt.
The club's in a even if you look at it, even when you do the accounts in a way which is the most favourable possible, we're still more in debt than we were when they bought us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even then, we were 60-70 million pounds in debt. When they promised Newham Council that they would be debt free by the time we moved.
Debt free, which conveniently a year before we moved into the stadium changed to bank debt free. Oh, it's weird how that works, isn't it? It's very weird how that works.
You're absolutely right. Most businesses will have their accounts from April to March, right? The company that I work for, our accounts are from September to August. In football clubs, because their football club trading period is the start of the season to the end of the season. That's why they most clubs will publish their accounts around about December, January, sometimes February, because it's literally taken from June to May, and they have all that time to put all their books in and all the rest of it. It takes 6-7 months for companies to do it. But yeah, seriously, all you do, you just Google it, West Ham United financial accounts, and it takes you straight there, and you can have a look at the PDF. All goes in about the wages and the salaries and all the rest of it, and even breaks it. It's scary. It really is scary. Now, a lot of people don't.
With no disrespect, JP, I find it very hard to care about the company I work for, not another one. Please don't give me another Excel spreadsheet to deal with.
It's not. It's a PDF. It's much easier to read. Trust me.
Oh, brilliant!
The only decent thing about the 2021 season was the loss got lower because because the wages were less and all the rest of it. We did make a bit of a profit in sales, but not to the level that everyone's talking about. But this is the. But no, it's. People don't worry about it because we're not being stung by financial fair play rules because we're keeping under the loss of 70 million per season for 4 or 5 seasons. So everyone thinks, well, because we're not getting stung by it, the club's is in a very, very good state. It's not in any shape or form. It really, really isn't. And that seems to be the curse of West Ham. Ever since I've known it, we've been in debt in some form or another for the last 40 years.
But the caveat to that is, I think there are a lot of clubs in the Football League pyramid that are in a lot of financial problems.
Oh, yeah. Almost all of them. I mean, in the Premier League, really, Newcastle were an outlier of not being in any debt, and that's because they just didn't spend any money. I mean, there was very, 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 very few clubs that aren't in debt. The difference is our debt is not manageable.
The difference is our debt. We've got nothing to leverage it against.
There's also that. There is also that. I remember one of the things that
a training ground from the 1840s.
Yeah, I think you raise a great point. I think I remember one of the times it hit me the most was when Pi Capital were in the takeover talks. And I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was maybe Simon Jordan. We're interviewing them on TalkSport. Or was interviewing one of the guys from TalkSport. And they said, you do realize how much debt West Ham are in, and laid it out there. And that information was coming directly from our board to him. And at that point, when they're saying that, as if to go, look how much debt we're in, you shouldn't buy us, look how much debt we're in, them knowing Krasinski's around the corner. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's how bad it is, that even our board are trying to use it.
David Sullivan was saying that the debt at that time was half of what it actually was.
Yeah.
And because he knows the whole point of this 500-600 million pound that he's put on the top of it is because it has to be that large to wipe the debt first and foremost, and buy the stadium and everything else on top of it.
It's a horrendous situation, and it's one of those ones where like we talk about like who would we want to take over, blah 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 blah. It's just someone who has a plan. That's literally all I want. We don't have a plan. We've never had a plan. Our plan was to get to the Olympic Stadium by any stretch imaginable. The plan was to make West Ham sellable and then to flip it. That's what it was.
Well, that's what the Icelandics wanted as well. The Icelandics were the ones that started the bid for it.
Oh yeah. And that's like,
as I said to Peach, earlier tonight, if you look at it, we say about Newcastle, blah blah blah. They've also, their stadium's worth little. So if you wanted to buy West Ham as a club, the stadium, improve the training ground, that's £1 billion on its own, I would guess.
Yeah.
Due to the fact it's London, land prices, XYZ.
Yep.
I mean, imagine building a training ground anywhere near London. That's what, 200 million?
Yeah, I mean,
also that's the thing with Newcastle, any debt that they would ever be able to leverage against. Sorry, they'll be able to leverage the stadium against because they own it. All that West Ham can do is leverage the debt against advanced season ticket holders, and that's what pisses me off. Because when David Sullivan came in and did that big press conference with Gold and Brady sitting next to him, he was criticising the owners for having debt secured on season tickets 3 seasons ahead. They're leveraging their debt on 2 seasons ahead.
Can I make a joke that's going to be a little bit naughty? But if imagine Newcastle,
this is Peach's channel.
Can I just say, I'm very concerned about what's about to happen.
If you knock down a housing estate of 3,000 in Newcastle to tell them, oh, we're putting in the new training ground for Newcastle United Football Club. Not only would they sell their houses, they turn up during the building operation with their thumbs up, because that's the difference. They will do anything for Newcastle in and around there. But if it's anything about London, it's West Ham. So you've got so many different people disagreeing with whatever they're going to try and do. Whereas Newcastle, it's like Manchester City did. They bought all that land all around Manchester, which, with no disrespect, will not be the same price which it would be in London. So they bought all that training ground. They're all around the ground. They've owned all of that, and Newcastle are just going to do that. They're just going to buy up all the land in Newcastle, and everyone in Newcastle is going to turn up. Whereas in London, it's not only different financially, logistically, politically. I mean, what? As I said to you before, if you were to buy it, what would you do? It's just you've got to grease so many wheels to get West Ham to.
One of the reasons for that, Luke. One of the reasons for it, mate, is because Newcastle have only got one football club.
Yeah,
London
exactly.
Have got 9.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been to Newcastle. It's a cracker. It's a crackerjack of a stadium. They're crackerjack people. Great night out.
Yeah.
And as you say, they're one city club, and it's not a big city. I mean, I live near Southampton, and Southampton's probably about the same size as Newcastle, but it will never be a fever pit of the same kind of thing you can get at Newcastle. And also, as well, the land ain't as cheap up there. I reckon. Seriously. Compared to London, I just think West Ham are in a
the price, I think,
rock and a hard place.
It's difficult, and but it was one of the things I liked about, and this is a moot point because they've gone and it matters not anymore. But it was one of the things I did like about the PAI Pire's bid was just that they had a plan that involved actually what to do with the ground and the stadium and moving forward. Now, that might not be what we want to hear from a footballing perspective. We might want to hear they want to invest in the squad and this, that, and the other, and all of this other things. Yes, of course. But they were like, look, this is what we want to do with the ground. This is what we want to do with the park. This is everything. There was a plan to move forward with that stuff. And again, that's all I want. Kretinsky hasn't really, they've not really spoken about it.
He won't until he starts until he gets to ownership because he can't say anything.
I also think it's easy to not say anything, and I think it was the right move not to say anything.
He can't for legal reasons, which is the whole reason why we knew that.
But what I mean is after the PI thing, everyone really viciously negatively reacted to them talking publicly. At first it was fine, but the more they spoke, the more people reacted negatively, and then they spoke more to try and dig out that hole and continue to dig downwards, and it was this vicious cycle. And so when Kretinsky came in and just think it was the right move, even regardless of what you're saying, which is also 100% correct, it's the right move to just go, I'm investing, and then we just invested. Cool, sorted. No need to say anything.
Which is why we never heard from Golden Sullivan until they became majority holders.
Yeah, and it's the and so when you look at it and you say we don't really know what his ideas and plans are for the football team, what it's like for the club to move forward, but that's all I want. It's just someone who has a plan and is actually going to follow through with it, not some 10-point nonsense that you're just going to chat bollocks on all this other sort of stuff. We've been lied to too many times about that. All I want is just to go, right, these are the aims. This is what we're going to do. Be it changing training grounds, changing state, whatever it has to be. We're going to try and renegotiate state, whatever it is. Because I, for example, I'm not confident that stadium will ever be given away for next to nothing to West Ham. I think you'd have to pay a significant. My gut says that you'd always have to pay a significant amount of money for it. Of course,
yeah. So even though the stadium's losing money, bleeding money every season, there's no way in hell the council is going to go. Yeah, you can have it for £5.
Especially, and this is maybe getting a bit too meta, but especially while Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister. He's the guy who did most of it to begin with. He's in charge of the entire country.
Please don't.
Also from the flip side, Charlie, I'm offering you. Oh, Charlie, you can rent a 4-bedroom house in the centre of London for £1,000 a month, but I own it, but it costs me £2,000 a month in mortgage. Why the hell would you move or buy it?
Exactly.
Let the dickhead take the fit, won't you? It's in
that's what the E20 are going to do. They're going to say, right, you want to buy it, it's going to be this amount, so we get our money back. It's as simple as that. But one thing I'm just talking about the PAI stuff as well is the fact that, Charlie, I can totally agree with you, and JC, I can totally agree with where you're coming from as well, mate. I've been very close a few times on that thinking. Was the fact that when they came out saying that they wanted to do it, because that was in reaction to David Sullivan's going to the papers saying we've had a derogatory offer. They counteracted in the media. I thought, all right, fair enough. They're laying the land here, just giving us right. And then what turned me 180 degrees from them was two things. One, that TalkSport interview, right, where old mate he said was talking more about the cricket than what happened with that brilliant win we had over Palace, if I remember correctly. And I remember we won. He didn't mention any of that until Simon Jordan piped up. And two, where the Carpenter's Arms is, the majority of the houses that are owned in that little segment are owned by PAI.
Really?
All it was it test match?
They wanted ground.
Was it test match cricket? Was it test match cricket?
Say again?
Was it test match cricket you mentioned? Because if you mentioned test match cricket, that is quite important.
Something like that. But that's the thing. You don't go in and go on a radio station that's going to be listened to by a good 2 or 3 million football fans. Doesn't matter what football team you support, and go in and talk about every other sport bar the sport that's being played by the company you're trying to own.
I think I with them, I never. The only thing that I was never turned off them, apart from what Luke was alluding to essentially with Kretinsky and other people and such, other owners, was just their incredibly sketchy track record.
Yeah.
Like incredibly sketchy, just background, right? That was the thing that turned me off. Like from everything else, like even the TalkSport interview, I wasn't that fussed about. Like, I like whatever, right? As long as you have a plan, I don't really care being second fiddle. I just don't. As long as the plan is to move forward, I don't really mind. Like, we're kind of second fiddle to David Sullivan's like property business. Like it just happens. He just doesn't say it out loud, right? You don't say the quiet part out loud. But when it so I wasn't really ever fussed. It was just the sketchy sort of track record. With Kretinsky, the footballing side of it, we'll see. He has a lot of experience owning a football club before at a very high level. Their fans are not super enamored with him, but at the same time, that's like saying Man United fans are super enamored with whoever their owners might be at any one time. Obviously, the Glazers are horrendous, so that's a terrible example. I'm rescinding it now, but you understand what I'm saying. When you're the biggest club, if you're not continuously being the biggest club, it's whatever. But he doesn't have this incredibly sketchy back record that a lot of people who try to buy football clubs have. And just the idea of having a slightly deeper connection with Prague is enough for me to start to back it, because the one thing we desperately need, and it comes back to what happened today, the rest of January, every other transfer window, we need to stretch out our network. We need to be way more proactive in figuring out who we're doing, identifying targets, and making it so we can actually who we're doing. We just need to know what's going. You know what I mean? It's important. It's important.
I don't want to know where you want to take the club, mate. But
listen, all I'm saying is David Sullivan's helped a lot. The point is, right? The point is that just the idea of having deeper connections with your top European clubs who are good at finding players and recycling them, and that's one of the things that the Czech league, there is no money being spent in that league. It's all about finding the talent and recycling it and getting it out, because no money gets spent in that league whatsoever. The highest record transfer in for the Czech league is like £3 million.
Yeah,
it's all about that recycling, and if we can leverage that and start to move forward in a positive direction that way, it's only going to benefit us. And that's something I just have to hope.
Mate, one of the reasons why, because from what I remember hearing, was the supporters of the club that he's linked with are kicking up because they're not investing in the way that they used to. That doesn't help, but that's the same with every football club. So I don't really read too much into it from that point of view. But at the same time, it's just there's not. But looking at the flip side of it, which I'm sure Peach has been doing for the last hour and a half, is 2 or 3 seasons ago we had no scout. They were advertising part-time pays you earn scouts, which what
an insane time to be alive that was, by the way. What an insane time to be alive that was, by the way.
Exactly, which is what Lent started up with Lena being the Twitter scout and all these players she was saying she was tweeting at and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
We've only had one director of football in the last 15 years, and that was the guy that was linked in with Pellegrini. We've now got another one this season. Yeah, exactly. Husios, thank you. We've now got one.
Did the guy the director of football that signed Savio?
No, he was. I don't think his job title was director of football. It was. I want to say he was CEO or something like that.
It was partly head of recruitment or something. He wasn't actually a proper.
Yeah, it was Scott Duxbury. I can't remember what his job title was though.
No, it was Italian.
You're right. It was Scott Duxbury after. It was Gian.
Klitschenko.
I don't remember. I'd have to Google it. I'm fairly certain John's
correct.
Yeah, as I say, because it's especially we haven't had any director of football, especially since when Sullivan and Gold have been involved in it, because it's all been Sullivan doing a lot of things, and as he still is.
Basically, JP, we haven't had a hierarchy at West Ham that's worked for about the last 86. I started supporting West Ham. So
even then, we were shitload in debt as well, for that matter.
Yeah, if you can go further than that, beyond fair play to you. But yeah, we have sucked at our hierarchy of football at West Ham United has always been awful.
And this is the thing, and this is what James Feather keeps saying and has done for the last 2 or 3 years, and he's absolutely right. All that Sullivan and Gold, well, all Sullivan is trying to do is asset strip, and the only assets we've got are players. That's it. We have literally nothing else to our name.
I don't know about asset strip. I think he's
players are assets for the football club.
I think what he's trying to do is basically play a long game, and I also think this is for fun for him. He's got where he is, and he's got all this property elsewhere that just brings him money all the time. He probably works a couple of hours a day picking up calls about West Ham. I honestly think, seriously, David Sullivan's having the time of his life.
Well, who wouldn't do? Who wouldn't do owning a football club and getting away with millions of pounds every season?
Yeah.
But I think there's only so much anyone takes.
Yeah.
I think as much as you can underestimate the ego of David Sullivan pushing him to maintain certain things, I think you can also underestimate the effect that has on you as a person. And we've heard it. Jack Sullivan said it in interviews. He's spoken about how certain things that get said genuinely do actually hurt his dad. I think there is genuinely only so much you can take. You know, I mean, we think about it and we look at them as sort of vilified figures quite easily, for obvious reasons. They're dickheads, but ultimately, you know, we've all suffered probably at some point during our lives with mental health struggles. And the same goes for them, you know, and there's only so much you can take. There's a reason why David Gold years ago said if 80% of the fan base or whatever it was wanted us gone, we'd go. And it's because there's only so much you genuinely can take. It doesn't matter how big your ego is. If that many people hating on you physically meant like it's just not, you're not going to keep at it. It doesn't matter. You're just not. Not when the option is you sell the club for hundreds of millions of pounds.
Exactly, and this is the problem, and what it all boils down to, you know, because you see a lot of people criticizing about players going from one place to the other because of the money, blah blah blah, and you put it on the flip side. Well, if you got headhunted in your respective role for a company that's going to offer you 15%, 20% more than your wages you're taking, you take it 100%. And this is the problem. Is the fact that we see West Ham as part of our lives and part hobby, right? Simple as that. That's what a lot of us is. For a lot of supporters, it's especially for those that go to the games week in, week out, as it is with me, especially for the home games. It's spending time with your mates before the game, having a few beers, having a bit of a laugh. It's part of your weekend routine. To these guys, it's money in the bank. They view it as a business. That's it. And this is why people get really, really het up about it, because they don't. I
totally agree with you, JP. It's a job for these guys.
Yeah.
If it was me, I'd love to play football at 15, and a West Ham scout picked me up. And I 17, I got into the first team. Then I scored a few goals. I won the FA Cup with West Ham. Then I said, "Sorry, West Ham, I've got to go further in my career." I went off to Real Madrid, won 5 European Cups. Then I came back to West Ham in the twilight of my career, won a European Cup for West Ham. Everything's good. But ultimately, it is a job for these guys.
Yeah.
That's why I don't begrudge Lingard. I don't. If Rice leaves and he wants to go, whoever they are, I don't begrudge. But don't be a dick about it.
Yeah,
that's my only request.
Don't do a Paulie.
Don't be a payat about it. Straight up.
But then us four aren't Premier League footballers. We're not brought through that. We haven't got 55 people in our ear. We haven't got an entourage. Obviously, Charlie's got an entourage. Look at him. He's got Danny DeVito. But, I mean, Lingard. We also. What decision would you make if you were Lingard?
I know, but we're still people with morals and understanding and like respect, man. And it's like
But also
what
as well,
Payet did
he's
was awful.
also as well.
Honestly.
Also as well.
What Arnautovic did was awful. Him and his brother could
signed
go
a
piss off in the
contract to
lake and have
Manchester
fun,
United.
man.
He has signed a contract to Manchester United till the summer. I know it sounds awful, and I know I'm an old bastard, but I would like if you guys were my kids, I'd like you to honour that contract. Thank you very much. If they said you can't go.
Well, especially bearing in mind he's a Man United boy through and through.
Yeah,
you know, he's been there for 20 odd years. He went through their academy.
Word up.
And
very quickly,
it does seem to be a little bit of.
I've looked it up. Gianluca Nani, he was technical director. It took me a while to find it, but his job title was technical director.
Technical director.
Yeah. There you go. And Scott Duxbury, who I was thinking of, was chairman. We could find.
So he was the director of technique.
He did a few moves as well.
Was the technician of direction?
He was directing the technicals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all had bullshit job titles as well, haven't we?
I was a finance officer, bro. Trust me, we do talk about that all day, all night.
Technical finance officer, director of facilities.
That's what I had on my business card, anyway.
Oh,
that you hand wrote on a piece of paper.
Yeah, it was like the American Psycho scene, except when they look at the card, it's just handwritten in crayon. Charlie Walsh, really good guy who knows lots of stuff.
Great book as well. Really, really cool. But yeah, I don't
likes
know,
computers.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the whole Lingard thing, I said at the end of last season, because people were saying, "Do you think he's going to come on a permanent?" I said it's all dependent on what Man United are going to do, and I still and this has been borne out today. They tried to fleece Newcastle for a stupid amount signing on fee, for the loan. I should say they tried to get like £12 million loan fee, and then £4 million if they stayed up, or the other way around, one of the two. I can't remember which way around it was. So Newcastle backed off. We were the only other side that were bidding for him. They didn't want to sell. They didn't want him to come to us because they see us as a European threat. And apparently, very, very reliable ex-West Ham employee was saying that he wants to come in the summer on a free anyway. So
yeah,
that's probably the other reason Man United didn't want him.
Man United were thrown a curveball in the last week, weren't they? Over that awful chap, if it's true.
Well, yeah.
I mean, but the thing is with Lingard is the situation hasn't changed at any point, regardless of that horrendous situation. Is like
he was lied to by Solskjaer in the summer because he said no, you're part of my plans, and he went on record since this time last year was saying Lingard is still part of our plans. Well, what plans?
Well, but that was the thing. Is like in the summer, what the reports that were coming out were the opposite of that as well. Is that Solskjaer was actually fine with letting him go, but it was the higher ups at Manchester United were like, I think he has a place in your squad, and there was always that push and pull. And Solskjaer publicly was saying he has a place in this squad because of that, whereas in reality he was never.
We all
knew the reality of it. We all knew.
But that's the thing. This is borne witness again in this window, where what's happened today when Lingard went to Carrington and he said, I want to go. Let me go to Newcastle on loan. This was before we came in a second time again.
I guarantee
he was like, let me go. Ralph Rangnick was happy for him to go, but the higher ups weren't. Again, they just weren't keen on it.
I guarantee, if we hadn't have finished in the top 6 last season, we would have had him in the summer. Guarantee it.
I just reckon the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Ralph Rangnick, whatever his name is, have to ask the Man United hierarchy whether they could have a fart.
I mean, there is a legitimate question to be raised. I think we'll see. I mean, a complete side note. I think they're going in the right direction with Ralph Rangnick becoming a higher up after to just hopefully wrestle away football control away from the people who are in charge of that club who don't know what they're doing. Because even I know Woodward's leaving, but even the person who's replacing Woodward is just another business ads person anyway. So like, if they can just wrestle away control and have Ranić do the football bit, and then they just concentrate on the business bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever comes in as manager can be in the image of Ralph Ranić, and you can just work your way from there. They're onto some form of winner, but it's going to take a while. The problem is it doesn't matter which way you put it. Jesse Lingard is not part of that.
Exactly.
And it sucks to say. And I don't blame him for staying 100%. It's his boyhood club. It's his dream. I don't blame him at all. But similarly to some point where I said to David Sullivan, at some point, you've just got to make a decision.
Yeah.
At some point, he has to realize he's not got a future at that club and he has to leave. And I think he knows that now because today he did literally ask to leave. But the problem is the two people who were on the table were Newcastle, who were unwilling to pay what Manchester United wanted them to pay, and us, who had a deal which they were unwilling to deal with anyway because it was us.
Yeah. But it's not also just that as well. Let's not forget that Martial and Van der Beek left. So if you got Lingard, you put Lingard on top of that, bearing in mind that Man United have brought in nobody this window.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just the bigger picture. Just talking as a football fan for a second, taking my West Ham allegiances out of the equation for a minute. As a football fan, with Ranić going into a technical director stroke whatever position in the summer, how's he going to be happy with the fact that this is a club that aren't bringing in players that I want as me being a temporary manager? That's the bigger question as well.
It's a like.
I think Man United have got a big enough squad that Ranić needs to do some. He needs to sort the wheat from the chaff, and I think that's why he's been brought in.
I think the emergence of Elanga as well.
Also, I don't think Man United. I think they may have taken the realization that they're going to be in a one of three for the top four, and they're still in the Champions League. Well, let's see how it goes. And they know for a fact that come the summer, by God, they're going to have to produce a manager out the hat. And yeah, I think Man United just need to focus the best they can do this summer. And quite frankly, why would you get rid of Lingard? As you say, he's a Man United supporter. He's not going to down tools. I just think Man United have all the cards in their hand, and
yeah, no, you're absolutely right, mate.
Well, why would you move to Newcastle? Oh God, would you? Unless it was loads of money.
In his situation, it was a case of does he want to play football or does he want to just sit on the bench for longer?
Exactly.
I think he might play a bit of football, to be honest.
From a distance perspective, if he doesn't bring his family down to London, then Newcastle's a lot closer than Manchester than we are. So I can see it from that point of view. But that's literally the only time, because as Nicky was saying on West Ham Fan TV, if Lingard goes to Newcastle, there's a very, very good chance it's for the money and not for the football.
But I think it could also be just for the football. Not permanently. Permanently, there's a different. 100%. Permanently, there's a different. It's a totally. Then you're talking money. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, he just, like I said, he went to Carrington today and asked to leave on loan to Newcastle because they were the only people interested in him, and he just wanted to play football. Yeah. At that point, whoever's in is the only option. Similarly to Nat Phillips. Nat Phillips had no other options, and so he went down to the Championship just to play football, as opposed to sitting in the reserves for Liverpool. Because there was no one else interested in him. Now, when it comes to permanent moves, that's a whole different story. And obviously, moving to Bournemouth is a whole different kettle of fish than moving to Newcastle. You're talking for the money at that point. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a horror. It sucks for him. It really does.
What Epic's saying here is exactly what I was linking out earlier about Sparta Prague taking. Hey, he's no better than GSB because they're not getting Europe. They're kind of like Arsenal fans to a degree. They're not getting Europe on a consistent basis.
There's a level. There's different levels. When we say Epic that he's no better than GSP, I don't believe that, but that's mainly. But I also Epic would concede that I would need to read significantly more into the situation before I could.
From what I'm hearing, they're kind of used to finishing in Europa League, and they're not really getting it at the minute.
I'm hearing the same thing. Yeah.
And Hammerhead, mate, I fully feel your pain. Fully feel your pain. I think Charlie, when you and I were down the boats towards the end of season before last, remember saying to you, I'm not sure if I'm getting my season ticket next year. I know we've had the conversation.
Yeah,
before.
I didn't. I literally.
I know you didn't know, but I'm sure we've spoken about it for the last 7 or 8 seasons. I've been going, I'm not sure if I'm going to renew, and I do because it's missing out what we were talking about earlier about the whole missing out, seeing my mates having a few beers with my friends and having a bit of a laugh during the game and all the rest of it. It's a lot of money that everybody could be putting towards a lot better things. But I totally hear you, mate. And the next comment he makes is absolutely spot on. Is exactly what we've all been saying. The whole of football is broken, in his opinion. Yeah, it is 100%. It's nowhere near the business side. Running the business side of things has taken over the football. It's now about how much money can we sustain with ourselves, like you were saying earlier, Charlie, about the debt being completely unsustainable. It's now gone to running it as a business, like Ashley was trying to do with Newcastle, making it profitable every season. So therefore, there's no debt so we can get more money for when the sale goes through. On top of. Yeah, Mark, we talked about that just very, very briefly about the players that are coming up in the next couple of seasons. But football isn't. We're not West Ham anymore for good reasons and bad reasons. We're not West Ham anymore because we're certainly not the West Ham we've been used to over the last 13, 14 years. But we're not the boys of '86 either, for that matter.
I can't talk about that. You see, because I'm the archetypal armchair fan.
Nothing wrong with it. So's Charlie.
How dare you, sir? Do you want to listen? Me and my boy will come out. We'll have some beef if he ain't careful. Yeah, if you ain't careful. No, I think there's nothing wrong with it at all. I think I think it's one of those situations where I gave up my season ticket before when coronavirus hit. I was making the decision to give it up. I gave it up, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable giving them money until they leave at this point. I'm not happy with the way they're running the club. And I'm of the opinion that there's 2 ways of making your voice heard. It's in a group mentality, in a protest type situation, or financially. And so I was like, I'm not going to give them any more. And
Charlie, no, mate, no. Reason being, because some git that's on the waiting list will have your seat. That's it.
I know. I don't disagree with you. But I think it's the only way you can make your voice heard. I agree that someone will take it. I do genuinely agree that someone will take it. But the fact that people
single season ticket holder said across all social media, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, going, guys, let's boycott this. Let's make sure literally no one renew your season ticket next season to hit it where it hurts. Then maybe, but even then,
I don't disagree. But I think I would put it. Oh, that's a spicy take. I can't say that out loud, Charlie. I could put it in this. I can put it in this slightly less spicy way, I guess. People often say if you don't vote Conservative or Labour, and this is a road we probably shouldn't go down, but I'm going to anyway. People would say that that's a wasted vote because they're the only 2 parties who are realistically going to get in. Whereas essentially the function of a party is to have as many votes as possible. And if you are voting for a smaller party, no matter who that is, then you are making your voice heard because whatever the issue is that is closest to your heart, they want your vote. Similarly, as a football club, you not renewing, you not buying stuff from the ground, you not buying stuff from the shop, whatever it is, as much as someone else will just take your place and do that, their job is to retain that. Karen Brady has a spreadsheet of people coming in and out. It exists, right? And if you aren't coming back, trust me, when I say I get texts, not on this phone, this is a new phone, my old phone, before I threw it in the toilet. Toilet phone indeed. I would get texts non-stop asking me, oh, you should come back. Oh, this, oh, that. You should get involved. Come do this, come do that. Oh, this stuff, there's this much off. There's this thing. They want your money as desperately as possible. That's their entire MO. And if you aren't giving them the money, as much as someone else will just take that season ticket on the waiting list, it is one of the only ways. Mass protests are the only ways.
It's carpet bombing. That's all it is. It's like for example, when when I ordered my Europa League tickets. You know, we get those that mini season ticket to make sure you got to all the home games. Within half an hour, within a couple of hours of me doing that, I got an email from the club saying, "Hey, don't forget you can get Europa League tickets." I was like, "Hang on a second. Why am I getting this? Your record should have been updated to show that." I had to phone the club up to make sure it went through.
Mm-hmm.
And they went, "Oh, sorry, no, it's just a marketing email that we sent out." I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Charlie.
No, but I literally get ones that say I've had letters in the post that literally have the words "come back" written on them because they know, and I'm like, oh, okay, right. Like it's, but what I mean, and again, I know someone just takes that spot up, but it is literally the only language they understand. Money and essentially public consciousness, popularity. That's why the protests work. It's like you putting your point across in a mass form like that. Is helping you put your voice in because there's 10,000 other people, however many other people were on those marches, for example, just before COVID hit. Some of the bigger ones were on, but also because every single news channel was covering it. Every paper was covering it.
Yeah, Graham did well with that. He went out to every news agent vendor and just said, "Look, we're doing this."
Yep.
But at the same
that's
time,
the only way.
to a degree, you're right, because it was mass media coverage, but it hasn't worked in the way that everybody was hoping it was going to work. For example, the Burnley protests, and I said to myself, I came straight back and did a match review, angry at those idiots running on the pitch for doing it. You can go back and have a look at my channel, literally 4 seasons ago, when I said, because what the fuck is wrong with you? Now I understand the reasons behind it, but at the time I was so angry. So like, what's wrong with you? You're not West Ham supporters if you're going to be doing stuff like that. The flip side of that was David Sullivan went out and got Pellegrini, thinking that's what we wanted because we protested. And again, with the silent protests that we did, the mass media coverage didn't really do anything because they don't give a shit about the club.
But I think, and this is maybe this is especially when I'm about to, and then this is going to be a shocking thing for everyone who doesn't like JP. Probably, I'm going to bed in a minute, so I know that's how bad it's got. JP, I'm going to bed at almost normal.
Yes,
times.
I know. I've got to get up for work in 7 hours time.
Well, that's very unfortunately. I think this is a broad point, too broad to make with this sort of timescale. But what I would say is this: people often misremember and misthink about protests as the thing that push it over in quick succession. The Burnley thing was so, for lack of a better term, violent that changes had to be made instantaneously, right?
But it's
when it comes to the Hammers United stuff that was going on with the marches and stuff like that, it's slow change, you know. It's happened. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And although they didn't have immediate effects, and I think actually, if we're being honest about it, COVID kind of let them get away with that massively. Jesus Christ.
100%.
The next one after that was going to be bloody massive.
Yeah. I mean, I was there. I was there for both protests. The first one down by the Riverside, and for the second one over by thingy railway station, tube station. I can't remember the name of it now. Just down the Greenway. I was there for both of them, and so I'm not saying I'm not sitting here preaching because I was there. Therefore, I know what was going on. But it was just the fact that we repeated what the Birmingham fans were doing. Exactly the same thing. They protested before they were sold up, and they didn't for a long time. And then they found the right time to sell up, and it's exactly the same. It's why I say it doesn't make a blind bit of difference because you're right.
But it does. What I'm saying is it does make difference, but it takes time, and it's the added accumulation of continuous ones gaining traction, and I think the COVID knocked the winds out of it because no one was allowed to go to games, and then also we started getting good, so people would have gone back. But
it's also when you look at the media coverage that Sullivan and Gold had, especially Gold going on to TalkSport with twat features, right? Not 1 point, because if it had made any of a difference, David Gold would have said, because I prefer Gold over Sullivan. He's the more sort of he's out of the two, he's the proper West Ham fan. Let me put it that way. And for if he'd have gone in that interview and said, "Look, we're aware of what the fans are doing, the protests and everything, and we are trying to make changes," would show that it was taken note of, fast or slow. Yeah. But there's none of that whatsoever. It wasn't even, Moose didn't even ask about it, so there's that on top of it. But it was literally the fact it was literally that in itself was the problem. Was the fact that because there was no reference to it in the interview, either from Gold or from Moose, then we'll never know. But my instincts on it, if David Gold is the fan that he purported to be, we all know the old story about him being born in '69. Green Street and all the rest of it, blah blah blah, sneaking into games and all the rest of it. If he was a West Ham fan in the way that he's purporting to be, yeah, that with all those thousands of people that were on those marches, he would have gone, "We know, we are trying everything," but he didn't even acknowledge it. And that's what I'm saying. It's had no other than somebody walking
if it was a different
straight up
person in front of him, he would have to.
That's
The
what
fact is that
exactly
it's
what I was
the
about to
person
say.
that
Was
the person who's in front of you.
If somebody walks up in front of him and says blah 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 blah, like apparently Dom did to David Sullivan at that game, which was where apparently 50 supporters were around him, hassling him after that FA Cup game, when it wasn't. It was Marshy and Dom and a couple of other people, so exaggerating it for their own propaganda rather than reporting reality once again. Then yes. But even then, they didn't go on the record and gone onto the radio and said, "Look, guys, please don't do it." But we know what's going on. They don't care. Even
I think the one that probably a lot of people saw, Iron Men. I'm sure you watched it, JP. I'm sure a lot of people did. Luke, you probably did, like the Iron Man documentary, when the stall, where the like sweet sellers and stall holders down there literally stop the car, and David Gold rolls down the window and talks to them. But yeah, we're doing all we can to try and get you guys over there, blah 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 blah, and then it doesn't happen. Yeah, I just mean it's just one of those things where cumulative effects, these things do work eventually. It just takes time, which is an annoying thing. But
hey, it's on record and acknowledge the fact that you've got a lot of people that are taking the time out of their day to go and protest against the way that you're running a club. It just proves that all they're here for, as we were talking about earlier, all they're here for is the money. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
And we'll see how that bears out. I'm going to go because I've got to go to sleep.
Yeah, I need to go and all for that matter.
So
Pete, you still with us, son? I haven't seen you for a while.
Peach, I assume you're there because you're pressing buttons behind the scenes. So I assume you're there, Peach. But I'll say this, Jay. John, pleasure to speak to you again.
Good
nice
to see
you again, bro. I haven't spoken to you in a long old time, so good to speak to you. Luke, as per usual, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure,
Cheers,
sir.
Charles.
And Peach, wherever you are, Peach, I'll speak to you later. Try to. It'll be better tomorrow, everyone. We promise. We'll get there eventually.
Slept on it eventually. Yeah.
We'll sleep on it. We'll calm down slightly, and then we'll realize just how screwed we are. But until then, enjoy it. Speak to you later, everyone.
It's all right. Right. Well, I'm out of here as well, guys. So, Luke, if you're still watching, thank you very much. It's been nice to chat to you. Nice to meet you. And Peach, thanks for eventually letting us on, because you've been trying to get me on here for a while. But I did say to you, I'll come on when you invite me, and you invited me. So good. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. Didn't think I'd end this on the stream myself, but okay. But guys, thank you very much. Look after yourself. Sleep well. And we'll see you soon, I guess. All the best.
Yo, they talking crazy. We don't even see them. Morning time vibes, you heard? Yo, they talking crazy. We don't even see them. Morning time vibes, you heard? Yo, they talking crazy. We don't even see them. We got our own money. We ain't trying to be them. Yo, my man's locked behind the wall screaming freedom. Yo, quit showing my homies freedom. Yo, they talking crazy. We don't even see them. Yeah. Morning time vibes, you heard? Yo, they talking crazy. We don't even see them. We got our own money. We ain't trying to be them.
The blood of Jesus. I pray that God will deliver all of West Ham team. I pray that every players and West Ham team will worship the Most High God. I pray the blood of Jesus. I pray that God will deliver all of West Ham team. I pray that every players and West Ham team will worship the Most High God. I pray that West Ham will bow down and give glory and honor to the Holy Mighty God of Daniel. I pray that West Ham shall have victory. When West Ham worship God, then God will give West Ham all the victory and make them victorious. I pray that the whole earth will hear about West Ham because they glorify the name of the Lord Jesus. I pray the salvation upon West Ham team in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
We are fucking massive.
He's a terrorist! What are you doing?
I want these guys don't even know what I'm talking about. Yo, Bryce or Henderson? Bryce or Henderson? Name me one name. Yo, you guys are whack.
You already know who it is.
We are fucking massive.
Wake up,
the beat like I work it on the street. My feet get tired, money, I'm hungry like I don't eat. Will you try, fam? The kind of guy I am, you never meet. Be glad you're in my presence, I'm a god, don't you see? Gotta get my Nipsey on, a hustle like no tomorrow. My time is borrowed, and the reaper collects. I got a young buck coming up, and ain't nobody showing them the way to be the man today and earn his respect. It's on me, I speak easy and get mine on stage. I spit a high level butter flow to keep you engaged. I'm a good guy at heart, but consequences come from logic. If it's only putting in ya, you probably had it coming. This is Big Daddy sonnin', big dog running. The run up to the running, got the hammer, hit the bludgeon. The rhyme is my religion, I pray that I'm delivering the work that please the gods and the safety for the children.
Well, right now, yo, my religion is fine. Well, right now, yo, turning straight up. Well, right now, yo, my religion is fine. Well, right now, yo, turning straight up. Well, right now, yo, my religion is fine. Well, right now, yo.
I'm working on the beat like I'm working on the street. My feet get tired, bunny, I'm hungry like I don't eat. It's the return of the funky man, I rock this with finesse. I'm a lord of the underground, I do it all, yes, it's blessed, it's yes. God save the queen, girl, son, I'm the fine Quran. Cause you can't checkmate me. It's